am talking.
Hey, test. On mic number 1. So at the moment, it's quite a lovely day.
Indeed.
We are in. So last year when we were here, Denise, who was part of the crew, pronounced rye with a good old roll on it.
Oh,
is that how would in Germany, Lucas, we pronounce rye?
Rye.
Rye. Yes.
Rye.
That's even better.
Yeah,
That's much better than I can achieve.
But I don't know. I mean, it's like Dutch is. Someone said Dutch is a merged conflict between German and English, and I really like that. But there's also some French in it. So as a German, one can read Dutch quite okay, I guess, especially if you can speak English. But if they're talking, it's a totally different thing. So yeah, it's really interesting. I always look at all the signs and then I wonder how it's actually pronounced.
Yeah.
So
we might actually have field team, our colleagues, field team John and Jonas on the other side of the rye at the moment.
Yeah.
We're not starting the show, but we just thought if they're listening, they can always join in.
Yeah,
sure. We have a couple of people, our fantastic online panel, Guy and Javier, who might also be listening in. So at any time, chaps, if you're listening, feel free to jump on in.
Yeah. Especially someone actually speaks Dutch. That would be great.
That would be nice. So at the moment, I don't know if my comms are working. So there is that, because I'm not hearing anything back. So I don't know whether we're meant to be hearing anything.
Okay.
So that's a normal pre-show kind of problem sometimes. Is our confidence in our comms. I just realized as well, Lucas, would you mind holding that?
Yeah,
I've left
sure.
my OpenComms headset down, so I'm going to have to put that back, because otherwise it looks stupid. But Ronnie's hearing comms, so that's good.
Nice,
We're good to go.
Yeah.
So at the moment, this is kind of where my first introduction to Rye was last year. to IBC and RAI. It was last year, and this is kind of where we arrive to kind of enter into what is the IBC kind of experience. Over there we have the kind of OB trucks that we can't quite pan to yet because it's overexposure, and this right behind us is Hall 12, which is going to be one of the halls that we first visit.
Indeed.
And then over on the kind of far side, Blackmagic is in the far corner. Blackmagic always quite dominate. I don't know if it's same for previous years, but last year, you can see in our kind of medallions, it's Blackmagic sponsored.
Yeah.
So we actually got some quite exciting Blackmagic stuff coming up later on when we visit their booth.
And I think traditionally they have one of the biggest booths on the show. Usually, I mean, I've been coming here for 10 years now, and they usually have the biggest booth, and it's always in the same place. So you know where Blackmagic is.
Yes.
And they always have these big banners everywhere over the place. So I think they're doing quite well.
They're doing quite well. It was last year, which is just down there, of course, where Hall 8 is, I believe. Just the entire building was covered in Resolve ads. It was incredibly impressive to see. This year, it's a little bit more mixed. There's actually Blackmagic, there's Fizz RT, there's Riedel behind us, so it's a little bit more mixed this year. Hello and welcome to Office Hours' coverage of IBC 2023. So we are live from the show floor. Currently we're live from just outside of the show floor. I'm here with my co-host Lucas. We're on one of the field teams. Lucas, what's exciting you about this year's IBC?
I think kind of the vibe. There's not one product I'm interested in, but it's always kind of a family gathering, you could say. You always meet all those people you met 1 year before, and I really like that, to see all those people again and see the new products, touch them. Yeah, it's great.
Brilliant. So we are obviously live, as I said, and we're going to be joined by our other co-hosts, Jonas and John, who are just on the other side of RAI. Jonas, John, how's it going over on your side? What are you excited about? Sure.
It's quite exciting to be over here. I think we had some comms issues earlier in the show, but let's see if we can get them solved now. And looking forward to your questions, where we hopefully find answers, and showing you a couple of the booths that we are excited to show.
Yeah, back to you, Richard.
Thank you, John. It's actually a little bit hard to hear out here, so apologies. We caught the end of that, so I'm really excited to hear what everyone's going to got ahead of them just a little bit later. But we're also got Javier and Guy, who are also joining us remotely from parts known and unknown. Javier and Guy, how are you doing?
Hey, everything's great here. Guy, how are you, man?
Doing great. This is wild because I remember going to my first NAB in the 90s and having satellite and transmission from that aspect, and now just doing it through Zoom and SRT. This is pretty amazing to see these guys all the way on the other side of the world while I'm sitting here in Seattle, and it's still dark outside, and there it's light out. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. And they were showing yesterday like some of the outside parts of the expo, and I got this really cool feeling because I remember the last time I saw you in person was in Vegas for the NAB. So I'm having this energy like going back to that moment, and let's see what the field teams can bring us. I'm very excited for this coverage.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. As I said, it's a little hard to hear, unfortunately, at the moment, so I'll get that sorted as soon as we go inside. But as we are live, we're here to answer your show production questions. So if you have any issues, any content creation, any show production issues that you think we can solve on the show floor, you just send it through. Also, just in general questions about booths, we have our fantastic team who will be adding kind of our list of booths where we're visiting into Meccana and possibly YouTube. If you have any questions, just pop them in there. We've also got a QR code that will pop up on the screen every so often. Just give that wee scan. It goes to askofficehours.com, and then you just fill in a wee form and send us the questions. So at the moment, we're going to go inside and transition to our first booth, which will be Tilta. I'm going to throw it over to Jonas and to John, who are on the other side of the Rye. Jonas, John, give it a go.
Yeah, we made it over to a company that often also gets described as the Swedish army knife.
Yeah, Intenor.
Intenor.
Yeah, as a Swedish liver, someone who lives in Sweden, I'm happy to be kicking things off here with something I know about. Although it's such a big country that they're so far away from me that I think they passed me right by to get to hear IBC, and they're showing off all their good stuff. Jonas, we looked a minute ago to see what they had. Obviously, we looked before, but we're just here checking out their backpack unit. There is a newer one this year that they were showing us behind the scenes there a minute ago, but it's a nicer setup here. You can see what kind of encoder they have strapped to someone's back. Can you imagine walking around with this thing? Maybe next year we will.
I mean, and for those that don't really know what this is, basically we are going live right now with LiveView, and this is a replacement for that. It's an encoder and bonding solution. So like you see, they have a little bit of a nicer setup. They have a bunch of antennas and a bunch of SIM cards that they can use. It's a really nice setup. And then some of you, I know, we've seen on Officers a bunch of questions about what Bitfrost transport is. Those are the people behind that. If you see that on screens in your gallery or wherever, you know now where the people behind it is. They did tell us they have a new unit, about 7,000?
7 or 8,000, I didn't quite hear the price, but yeah, in that range.
It's also the question, like Swedish.
No, that was euros. If it was Swedish, that'd be a pretty good price, but unfortunately that's euros.
That would be great.
That would be great.
I'll take two.
If you look on the site, you'll see that their blue boxes are for decoding on the other end, and then for encoding, they go for the black style boxes. Like I said, they were showing a few things here. They've also got a sync test up there later. I wanted to have a look at that, but they're actually celebrating 20 years this year of being in the industry. So there's balloons
we kind of
crashed their party a little bit.
Well, one really great thing that you said is on the receiving side. Like one great thing with them is we can deploy a receiver either locally with SDI, that's the blue boxes that John mentioned, or we can also put it in AWS. So someone like me can then feed it over NDI over to vMix, Visity, Vector, whatever you like flavor-wise.
Yeah. And they said this year they're introducing DVB. Do you know what that is? Because I
have no idea.
Okay, so somebody hopefully will know what that is, because I was hoping Jonas...
Maybe we can ask the panel if they know what DVB is.
I hope so. My fingers are crossed.
I am not sure what DVB is, but I did get a chance to check these out at NAB, and we got to throw that backpack on. That was kind of fun. Jonas, you were actually there. You got to see me put that backpack on. This is what it looked like, that one there on the right side. So Intenor's the high end. This is the broadcast gear that's upwards of $10,000. So this is what the big guys get to use. And so they've got NDI conversion. You can send and receive, as you were saying, the blue ones and the green ones. Have different functionality, and then you got those bonding capabilities and those antennas. But yeah, here's those direct routers, direct receivers, and it's cool that you get to see them there in person.
Yeah, I recall how you carried it. I do have to say, it looks really, really cool if you wear one. I don't know if it would be compatible with the EasyRig that we are using today.
No, I don't think so.
One really interesting thing, I think it's Sweden where there's this concept of slow TV as well, right?
Go on, I'm not sure.
There's like these TV stations that like stream the nature. And if you check them out on LinkedIn, I think they have a couple posts about that.
Yeah.
Because of course it's really hard to do. There's a really great, and I might be mixing up Sweden and Norwegian, that is German geography for you.
We'll figure this out later.
We'll figure it out later.
We'll add it here.
We'll have our post team do corrections. But yeah, it's a really great solution. Maybe we want to take a little walk around and show what else is here?
Yeah, in this hall, I actually haven't been in this hall yet for the last few days because there's so much to see at IBC, as you will see throughout the show today. So we just dropped in here to Hall 5 of 11, I think.
If you look at that,
what do you
there's
see?
ice cream being handed out back there.
Yeah, this time of day we're kind of switching into like the handing out beers, ice creams, the sugary
I would
treats.
much rather eat some ice cream right now instead of going live. But
well, maybe afterwards we can celebrate with a beer and ice
an
cream.
ice beer.
Yeah. Let's get through the show first, definitely.
Yeah. It's, how is Field Team 2 doing? Are you already at Tilta?
Yeah, maybe.
I think Field Team 2 is about get ready to get to Tilta. That is one of the great where you want to buy everything because it's not that like $1,000 things. You have like more. You can actually buy things there. So I'm really excited to see what they have there. I'm not sure if our Field Team is ready, so we can go to them and talk about Tilta. What do you think, Field Team 2?
Okay.
Hey, Lucas.
So yeah, we are at Tilta now. So we have been here yesterday, and we strolled around a little bit, and you were quite excited. So what was it that caught your eye?
Well, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Tilta, so I absolutely adore kind of some of their kit because I'm a recent kind of convert to Tilta as well. So only a couple of weeks ago did we get this Tilta float. So if we kind of go in here, you can see this is the Tilta float system, and it is absolutely fantastic because it's built on the kind of DJI. There's an office hours thing about pronouncing DJI with a G for some reason. It's caught me today. But it was built to kind of hold the RS2 as well as the RS3 and the 3 Pro. So it's kind of built into the DJI system. But it's incredibly modular. So we've got the FAIR system and then the balance kind of arm here. Batteries at the bottom for a bit of extra balance, but it's really lovely and really versatile and really kind of, you can add so many things to it. I just loved how they thought it through.
Yeah.
They connected different pieces of things together on it, and it was absolutely fantastic to see.
So it's like a mini Trinity in a way.
It is, yeah. And RE Trinity, that's stopped production, I think, at the moment, but I did see one yesterday on the show floor. So if you're at kind of our end, which for me is like your mid kind of project kind of shooter, this is one of the fantastic things. So it connects that stabilizer ecosystem. It's really easy to set up. It takes a couple of weeks to kind of really get used to it, but you can start to deploy it really quickly. And then there's a whole kind of ecosystem. This new thing that they've released, which is the Nano 2, which is their follow focus system, is really good. Absolutely, just kind of come out. Really lovely gear. If anyone who uses the DJI system knows, is that the kind of follow focus motor is a bit kind of pernickety. It kind of knocks itself off of the the lens a lot. Whereas this is just, it's a lot more power, a lot more stability. It's really lovely. So that's a really lovely addition that I haven't got my hands on yet. I'm looking forward to trying as well.
Yeah, and I think it's so nice that you have these systems from different manufacturers actually working together. So
yeah, no, it's really lovely. We looked yesterday as well if our Ronnie, our lovely camera person, can kind of pan over there. We've got in the far distance just the Tilta. It's on there, the big light on their system. Ronnie, would you pan over for me? Thank you. So we've also got a massive crane that nearly took down part of the set just above us as that was happening,
that's nice.
which is hilarious. So just behind us as well is the this fantastic Hydra arm system that's again a DJI Ronin mounted on top of it. So Ronnie, I'll back up here if you want to kind of try and get it into shot. Yeah. But there's this massive arm swinging above us, which is absolutely mad.
This car
and just built
directly
onto
over
the top
us,
of the car.
and it's really
it's
fast.
Taking out part of the Tilta set, which is it's kind of awesome. Guy, Javier, what's it? Have you used the Tilta system yourselves?
I've just had some of the cages, which are super durable, but I'm on their website right now looking at that same Hydra arm, $9,999 of big boy toys. Locally, we have a company that has something similar, and they've got it attached to a Porsche Cayenne, and they go and do a ton of these automotive commercials locally. And some of my friends are the drivers, and they'll go zipping around these fast roads. Mary Moore, it's pretty amazing stuff, but it's some practice to be able to dial in, that operation, to be able to get those shots and keep those cars in focus. It's definitely a skill, and it takes some practice and some money, and you definitely don't want to make a mistake. And I've seen some videos of people going a little too low, and then they hit a bump and the camera goes flying. So cool stuff though.
And I was like saying, oh yeah, Tilde has like less expensive things, but you just show us like the biggest things that Tilde has, like this huge arm, and I love that in all of these booths you can find like the most simpler things and like these big rigs that you like only see in like some kinds of commercial and some kinds of productions, and it's great like to see it side by side. No, I think the setup is great. Anything else you wanna show us from there, from the Tilde booth?
Yeah, certainly. So, as I said, the nano system is just what they've released here. So, Ronnie's looking at one of the cameras now, has the kind of the nano system added onto it, which is this kind of new follow focus system here. That's got a beautifully refined follow focus that also allows you to change over to different modes. But the pull on it, the build quality on it, it's just really lovely. And you've got options here, just on the hand here now for zoom, as well as for then focus on this end. So multiple focus controls, just all from one little hand system, is really lovely, just at the touch of a thumb. So this just came out, I believe. It's the Nano 2. They have a pre-existing Nano that is being out already, and that's really, really lovely stuff. So I'm looking. Haven't got to use that yet myself. That's actually coming up. Literally, I got an email yesterday saying my order is complete. So I'm looking forward to getting home and playing with it. But Lucas, we're actually going to go to ZCam, which is just over here, Ronnie, if you don't mind following us. We'll move slowly because Ronnie's on a monopod, and we don't want to do too many moving shots as well. Plus, the arm is just above my head. I think
the Hydra arm, he really flies it close.
Yeah, we nearly got taken out on it. So we were doing our kind of recce yesterday, and we got to meet the CEO of ZCam or ZCam yesterday, who's just behind us there. He kind of introduced us to the Solar.
Lovely guy,
He's absolutely lovely guy. He got to introduce us to the Solar system here.
Yeah.
Which has a couple of different options on it. And we're going to kind of move around to this side just to show their water base. So this is an LED panel. I believe the X Blade is their new one. And the Solar, we've got the Blade 60 and the X Blade 60C. And you can see literally one of them is water resistant, and the other one is completely immersed in water. This one at the top is only an inch thick. It's actually a bit less than an inch thick, isn't it,
and
Lucas?
If we can go over to the panel in a few moments where he has those 4 panels stacked together, because it's really, really thin. I was quite astonished to see how thin it is.
And then this one that's the X-Blade 60C is a little bit thicker, and but I was just kind of blown away by the display of this, just the water pouring on it constantly, and the immersion of it is really lovely. But if Ronnie pans over to his left, we'll see the setup that they've got here. Which is just all the different ones kind of connected together, and they are only, as I said, an inch thick. And when he was demoing these to us yesterday, these are on about 40% power. At the moment, they're maybe on a little bit less, bit more, maybe depending on today. But they go up to really bright, which is really lovely. I hope he doesn't adjust it on us now, because we will have trouble changing the exposure on it. But it's really lovely stuff. And I think one of the guys was asking, in Discord for us to visit the Solar kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and also one thing that's I think a theme at the moment is all those LED-based lights you get. In this case, they call it zones, but most companies call it pixels, where you actually not only have one big light, but you can divide the LEDs into zones or pixels and do pixel mapping with it. And that's great for a number of reasons. Like we see there in the water, we see kind of a rainbow. But also if you're doing stuff where you want to emulate clouds flying on top of actors or something, you can actually stack all those units together and have this pixel map of getting brighter or low brightness or stuff like that. So yeah, that's in those as well. And there's also a new ARRI light, which is in a way similar, but of course a little bit more advanced and also much more expensive, which has all these zones as well. So,
that's awesome. So yeah, that is ZCam, the solar range of LED panels. Guy, Javier, have you guys had a chance to check some of this stuff out? Do you think you'll be able to use this anytime soon?
I was seeing some of that same design over at Cinegear and was super impressed with the future. But for ZCam, I really would love to see some of their cameras. I'm actually using a ZCam right now, one of their first models, the E2 with the micro four thirds mount that I saw on their Facebook, which is where they kind of hide all their news. So Kinson, the guy that you're talking about, the CEO, he posts all this stuff in there that's like the beta, and like he really hints at what's coming out and gives us some pre information. So if you guys are interested in ZCam, I highly suggest going. It's one of the best Facebook groups on all of Facebook if you're interested in cinema, because they've got the E2 M4. There's a new F8, I believe. Is there a chance you guys can walk over there and either talk to Kinson or go?
Yeah.
Is he up? Is he available?
He is up. He's doing a bit of a demo at the moment with someone. I don't know if we want to interrupt him, because I also am aware we're going to the other field team in a wee second. But let's have a wee look over here. Let's see. So this is the other kind of ZCam range that we've got, kind of looking at the F6 and some of the other things. And then that's the CEO just there, just out of shot. But I think he's a little bit busy for us, Guy, so I don't think we're going to interrupt him.
Oh, come on, say, don't you know who we are? We're office hours. We're coming all the way from America, Mexico. We're coming from all around the world. Well, that's one person. We're 1,000.
Hello. Lovely to see you again. So we were here with you yesterday, just to have a look around. So the team would just love to kind of hear a bit about what you're doing and what we were talking about yesterday. Would you like to kind of show us what you've got going on?
Yes, this year we have come up with the global shutter camera, what we call E2 M5G. M stands for MFT sensor, 5 for 5K, and G for global shutter. And this global shutter camera is very special in two ways. Number one, it has a very, very good dynamic range, up to 16 stops, because of the dual conversion gain sensor. And the second thing is special is because this one can do high frame rate. It can do 5K 60 frame per second, and also 4K up to 116.
That's awesome. So don't worry about it. Lucas will hold it for you there. So we just got instruction to change mics, so I'll move over so I can talk to you at the same time. Thank you, Lucas, for being our mic stand.
Thank you.
So you were showing us the solar system yesterday. Do you want to kind of give us a wee bit of a demo?
Yes, sure. I better dim the light so it's easier for the camera.
Yeah, that's no problem. So he's just going to dim the light down so that it's a bit easier for the camera. Is that better for you, Ronnie? Yeah, Ronnie's giving me a big nod and a thumbs up there. So we'll be heading over to field team 1 on the other side in a little second, but we're just going to have a wee look at this as well. And Guy and Javier, if you've got any kind of questions, just feel free to fire them through.
Is it better?
That's lovely. Thank you so much. So tell us a little bit about the X-Blade and the solar.
Yes, this is the solar blade because it's so thin. It's only 1 inch the thickness on the edge. Cool. The Blade 60C, this is the IP. We say IP65, but it's actually certified the IP66. Oh. So it's IP66 waterproof with 6 lighting zones, 6 pixels, full color. CCT runs from 2000K to 20,000K. So this one you can also do it in multiple configuration. 2x1, horizontal, vertical, or 2x2 with a yoke.
So does it go ahead? Does it go more than 2x2, or is it kind of can you? You
can do more, of course. We have all the mounting points. Behind the panel.
And you were saying it's not DMX. It's the next level up.
It's DMX and CRMX. Yeah. It's built-in lumen radio.
Awesome. That's brilliant.
And the one down here in the water, this is what we call the solar, the X-Blade 60C. X for extreme. So this one can go can submerge into water and up to 20-meter depth. And IPX8.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yep.
So we're going to throw it over to the field team one on the other side of the RAI. So hopefully they're in place. And over to you, John and Jonas.
Yeah, thanks for throwing it over to us. We are here in the SIP Radius booth, and I'll be totally honest, this is a new name to me, so luckily I have Jonas with me today, he doesn't work here, but he's going to tell me all about it. I feel like you work here, so I'm just going to throw to you, what did the company do?
A while back in Discord, a lot of people noticed we all started playing with like WebRTC and all that, and then someone posted a link to this encoder, and it's a really, really great encoder. What's really great that the SDI, it has an SDI input and output. So like you know how traditionally most encoders have like a loop through. Sure. This is an actual output. So what we can do is it can also receive streams. So like this can send streams with SRT, RIST, RTMP, the likes. Even WIP, which is the new WebRTC we're going to talk about. Codec-wise, it's H.265, H.264, and then there's a JPEG XS version that you can buy as an additional codec. But you can also output something, so it doesn't have to be your input. You can use it as like a kind of two-way communication, like you would do for like a remote production.
Right.
And one really cool thing is they also allow you to send WebRTC over with AVR1 to it, and it can decode it. So like now you have this really low bandwidth, really low latency, really nice looking picture, which kind of sounds like it shouldn't exist, but it kind of does. And it has a lot of features. It has a SIM card in it, so you can access it over that if you have a SIM card that you can remote into.
Right.
Has some. It even has sync built in, and you can add more modems. Has a little GPIO plate. Yeah, really handy.
And they had a little demo set up here. You were showing me a second ago, which is pretty
neat.
neat.
If we look at here, there's a little demo of. I don't know, Ronnie. Can we show the screens? So if I snip here, we see the latency from encoding and decoding it, and this is done over JPXS over this cable. I mean, yeah.
Pretty nice. And they were nice
really
enough
cool
to let us take over the whole booth.
Yeah, they
We've been
were
standing
really
here for a few
nice
minutes.
to letting us take over the booth.
Cleared everything out of the way just so we can stand here and talk about it.
And yeah, I know that a lot of people in our Discord were really excited about this. So yeah. Guy, Javier, what do you think?
Oh man, I know what to ask Santa for Christmas now. That looks really cool. I have not played with these. I was just looking them up online. So in your hand, is that the EXP? Which model was that?
Yeah, I think it's the smallest one. It's the Max EXP. They have so many names.
I'm not sure.
We'll find out and let you know.
Yeah.
It's a small one.
Yeah, because I got to put it on my Santa wish list to make sure, or B&H wish list to make sure I get one of those. These look really nice.
And it's really great to see.
So we were talking about WebRTC.
No.
Sorry, Javier, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No worries. I
Go
was
ahead.
wondering that there is a lot of things like going to, like one of the common themes is remote production. Like there's a lot of new gear that can do a lot of things that, like you just said, like it seems that it could be impossible, but it's possible. I know, like now that we are having like all these big remote productions, we have like all of these new encoders, decoders, and gear, and like different backpacks, and it's like maybe not like a frontal theme, but I think there's a lot of brands like trying to do this. Like, how can we get like the satellite truck in the back of someone with everything, like encoding and satellite, and cellular transmission and everything? And that's great. I think that's like an awesome solution for that.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier. There's this new WebRTC-based standard that's called WIP. It does WebRTC, but does the signaling over an HTTP call. And I think it really is going to push our industry forward, because like before that, like WebRTC wasn't cross-compatible easily, because like every vendor had their own flavor. And like imagine you would need to check if the SDI of one vendor works with the other one. Like where would we? Like madness. Yeah. So that's kind of what WebRTC was. So you always had to build a custom solution. But the great thing is I can send a WIP feed from OBS to it. I can send Cloudflare Stream now supports WIP. There's under open source servers that support it. And like we finally, like over the last couple months and even just weeks, like we see how much more it gets adopted and how great it is. Now we see AV1, all the different vendors have announced, hey, we also support AV1. It's really great to finally have this point of like everything coming together and like pushing the industry forward. And like, I mean, we stream right now with the live view and SRT. which also is a great example. Like RTMP was the king for a long time. And now we at least have SRT. Maybe this WebRTC can also help, and then like it's going to be important even more to be aware like what solution do you use for what. Like, you might not want to use WIP for when you actually want to transmit a really high quality image that can't break up, because WIP is still susceptible to like the problems of WebRTC. But for multi-view, it's freaking awesome.
Perfect. Yeah, it's really good for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's and like right now, for example, I would love a WIP multi-view where I could see, hey, where's Field Team 2? What is the panel doing? Is everybody still interested? Yeah, because I think Field Team 2 is currently on their way to the next booth. Haven't arrived fully yet.
I think they're almost ready.
Any more comments from the panel?
No, I'm really excited to see Field Team 2 because they are in one of my favorite places. It's like a candy shop because they're in the Canon booth and they have a lot of stuff. So can you talk about what you're seeing there?
Hey, hey Javier. Yeah, we are at the Canon booth. You're spot on. And they've set up a whole disco behind us. I don't know if you can see. So they've set up this really cool demo area where they've got a DJ in the center, and then off to the sides are all the different lenses. If Ronnie wants to pan to his right, he'll see the whole control deck that they've set up. That's absolutely fantastic system that they've got kind of built just for their own engineers to have a look around and to play and to demo and to show off everything. But the new kind of things that we're looking at is the new PTZ that they released not too long ago, which is a CRN100, which is a new kind of intro. I'm going to call it entry level. It's not, because it's worth thousands of pounds, but I'm going to call it entry level PTZ, which is really fantastic. Kind of new 4K sensor, 30p. I kind of chatted with the guy yesterday and kind of poked his brain because we use a lot of Panasonic PTZs in our work. And kind of one of the drawbacks for us is the low light performance. So I kind of was poking him to see what the low light performance was like for the new kind of CRN100, and he was saying the sensor it's not out of this world, but it is lovely. But I wouldn't recommend it for theatrical work, Lucas, because of the amount of low light count we have to deal with. We've actually got also their new controller, I believe, that Ronnie was just showing you. So we'll go further into the Canon booth, and Javier and Guy, if you want to see anything, just let us know.
Yeah, and I mean they have this distinction here between the 100 and the 300. It's kind of like the one is AV production, which has only HDMI, and the other one has an SDI output as well. So I think they kind of separate the market there a little bit.
They do, but the N100, the CRN100, does come with SRT and RTMP out, and as well as HDMI HX. So it's pretty nice. So I kind of spoiled by the Panasonic 150s because they have HDMI out, 3G SDI out, 12G SDI out, monitor out, SRT out. It's a lovely device. But having SRT, NDI, and RTMPS is a really lovely addition for that kind of level of PTZ. So if Ronnie wants to pan over here, we've got John who's actually just demoing the auto tracking system as well, which comes as it doesn't come with the CRN100, but it does come as an optional license, which usually means a small charge, shall we say, for activating. But it's really lovely. They have a whole silhouette system that's built into it that tracks not just the face, which is a drawback in a lot of tracking systems, but the whole body as well, and it's really lovely. Javier, if we're in your Candyland, sir, please tell us what you would like to see.
I really like the part where they have like all this the different cameras like lined up together, and you can like try different systems to test them, because like in the real world it's like very hard to get, like, unless you're doing like a big camera test for a project, it's very hard to get like different cameras like aiming at a specific subject, like well lit and everything, where you can actually see the differences. So I always, when I was in Vegas, I spent like 40 minutes just like jumping from one camera to the next and see all the solutions. Anything else you want to see, Guy, that you can like redirect them to?
That's exactly why I love going to these shows. You can see the difference between the 100 and the 500, and then you can start to do some napkin math and see how many cameras do I need? Do I need low light? Is it worth getting SRT for the future? So you start to really put two and two together, because at the end of the day, we only have so much budget that we can play with it. When you go to the show and you actually see the difference of a half-inch chip, and then you go see the FR7 or the Panasonic UE170, and you compare it, and you just, again, you're looking at specs, you're looking at your budget, and you're going, what makes sense for my church, my school, my next production? This is the perfect reason to go to these shows. So I know not everybody can afford to go, and that's why we're doing this. And I love hearing everybody else's thoughts on how all of this comes together, because it's the joy of seeing 10-bit color versus 8-bit and being able to distinctly see it and go, okay, that's 1,000 more. Let me go talk to the boss or the uppity-ups or put that in the grant, or somehow you make it happen because you want that extra image quality, or you want to go 4K for the future because maybe you could only afford 1080 right now. So I love these shows, and this is so cool being able to have you guys bring it to us.
Yeah, it's totally interesting to see also that they are trying to.
Sorry, guys, we just got a question there from James.
Smaller entry-level PTZs to kind of YouTubers or vloggers or stuff. So this is still new for them. So
hey, Lucas, I've actually just got a wee question there from James Haldane from Vancouver, Canada. So we're just looking at there's a question for Canon. Any plans to change the design of the RC-IP100 PTZ controller interface?
No, there's no plans to change the design on that at this time. It would need a complete redesign of the product. Although we have just released the new IP1000 controller this week.
That's brilliant. And what's the new as part of that controller? What's exciting about it?
Well, I mean, you've got double the amount of cameras you can control, so it's got from 200.
Yeah.
It's got a 7-inch monitor on there, but you can actually get thumbnails as well. And also, the biggest difference what the users will find is that you don't need a PC to actually set the cameras up.
Nice. Very nice. Thank you so much.
Apologies
for interrupting
Not
and
a
getting
problem.
in the way.
Enjoy the show.
Paul, is it?
Paul.
Paul, thank you so much, Paul. So there we go. We got a wee question answered directly from the Canon booth. So we've got actually a whole rest of the booth here to have a look at, including the glass that's just behind us. Javier and Guy, does that answer with the controller satisfied, do you think, or do we want to delve in deeper?
That's actually a huge part of as well, being at the show, being able to go to the Skaarhoj booth, which I believe is coming up, and feel the difference between these controllers, because there is a huge price difference, and that's also a big deal, being able to configure these via PC or not, because if you're a rental house and you're just deploying these things for somebody else to use, not having to set them up. I know that our friend Greg Gibson had a heck of a time with one dip switch on the back of the FR7's controller on the Sony side. So some of this stuff you can alleviate by talking to engineers at the show. And again, this is a great reason to be able to go to these shows, is to pick the brains, feel that controller, feel the difference between the low end and the high end, and then be able to justify that extra cost if it's needed. But man, I wish everybody could go to these, because some of this stuff is so high end that this is the place. I mean, people fly all the way across the planet just to go feel that controller or see that image quality, and you guys are lucky to be there and see that auto tracking, because some of them are really good and some of them are really bad.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong there. We're actually on kind of doing a little project ourselves over at my work, that we're looking at auto tracking with an eye to performance, because a lot of auto tracking is just designed for people walking a stage and doing presentations. So we are deep into the rest of the Canon booth here.
Indeed.
So we've got this fantastic kind of setup here with a massive kind of arm set with one of the absolutely gorgeous. I'm an absolute fan of Canon lenses. I would choose my body on the basis of getting to use the EF lenses, and I often kind of wonder whether I've made the right or wrong decision until you see just the sharpness of it. So this is a fantastic. I think it looks like they've got kind of a sensor on top, which is for moving the background at the back, so it's aware of the position of the camera as it moves. So Ronnie's going to give you a nice little kind of look at that, and we've got a little monitor in the back end here looking at how it's changing the focus and changing the background all at the same time. So everyone's onto the virtual stages, so it's fantastic.
I mean, it's so great if you see, if Ronnie can show us the back end of this later, but this is just one rack with a few pieces in it. If you imagine you had to do this a few years ago, with the tracking background and camera tracking and person tracking and stuff like that. So this really has come a long way, so that now you can kind of do this with quote-unquote consumer hardware and software. So yeah, that's
absolutely fantastic. Guy, Javier, what do you think of all this virtual production? It's been on our lips for many a year for the last few years, but it's always lovely to see it in action.
Yeah, it's the future, but it's actually the present, right? So it's great, like seeing it like that. I love that we have the opportunity to see like all the workflow together, because when you try one of these cameras, maybe you're pointing it like a sheet, like something to focus on. But here you have like an actor and with lighting and a panel, and you can see like how this whole ecosystem like works, and you can start imagining like I can use it like this, and maybe I can justify it to buy this other thing. So I think it's a great experience to be in those booths.
Yeah, I absolutely love. I mean, I would just love if everything connected to everything else.
Yeah.
And that's the joy of kind of getting one kit from, say, Tilta, connecting it onto a Canon lens, basing it onto an RE Trinity. You know, with all these things connecting together is absolutely ideal.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work out in real life.
No, but it's coming there, I think. So vendors have become much more open about it. So we're talking about virtual production, and I think it's a good segue to the next booth, because does the V in vMix stand for virtual? I don't know, but we could find out, because Jonas and John should be at vMix right now.
Yeah, and earlier we were talking about how you can receive AV1 with that really great encoder and decoder combi. And you might have been wondering, how can you send it? And vMix, now they are showing their latest beta, they can send that AV1. So, like, I'm really happy. Like I said, it finally feels like we're making progress and it's all coming together.
Exactly.
So, yeah, AV1.
AV1.
That's
I was
really
just
great.
chatting to them about the new Zoom integration, which is really cool. So there's a couple of ways to do it, but the way we just chatted about there is you can actually just have vMix join an existing meeting, and it shows up like a ghost participant, a part of the meeting, and then you can pull out, depending on bandwidth, between 5 and 6 individual people at 1080p, more at 720p, and it'll just like be a part of your meeting and pull those into vMix, and you can actually use them there. If you've used like the Teams NDI integration before, it's really easy in vMix to use Teams, but Teams sometimes. But a lot of us have been using Zoom for years now, and it feels very comfortable to use that as part of the meeting, right?
And like, especially for a small show where you don't need much, you can now have, I mean, my preference would be a vMix in a cloud system, pull in a couple Zoom feeds.
Yeah.
One thing that is really cool with the multi-box shots that you would create with those Zoom layouts then is they overhauled their layout mixer.
They did.
And like, you know a lot about it because you built your layout pack.
Exactly.
I know a lot about it because we tried to build these really nice like merging shots. Mm-hmm. You can build some really awesome things with that. But it's new.
It's new, and I think as someone who makes software like us, it's hard to make interfaces that control box sizes and all that stuff. It is a difficult challenge, but it feels like they're really listening to the community. They have things like aligning based on other boxes and all that. You've seen it just now. I didn't get to see it.
So what's really cool about it is it doesn't feel like something new. Like, I looked at it and I was like, okay, great. I know what I'm doing. I know how it feels like. Like, it doesn't feel different. It still feels like the vMix layer mixer, just way better.
Just way better.
Like, it feels a little more modern.
Yeah.
But then it has actions like you can just drag your stuff. You can crop it. You can... The borders are really cool. So in the past, one of the issues we had is if you have a multi-box layout and you like want to crop the middle third and then want to crop out to a full, that wouldn't animate. Yeah. Now it animates. You have more fine control. Like you said, the aligning, it snaps to center. There's
really
a couple lines. Really nice.
And one more thing people have been asking for years is more external outputs. And they added more, right?
So one really cool thing is, you know how like the vMix, you can send 4 SRT feeds.
Yes.
You can send 2 RTMP feeds. And now you always could also output 2 externals, like over the DeckLink cards, which is really great. We both rely on that sometimes for our tools.
Basically.
So we are really happy as well. There's now 4 outputs. So now you can have like the quad card, for example, that has 4 DeckLink devices on one card. So yeah, that's really great.
Really great. That was a lot of things back to back there because we're really excited.
And one more thing. You know when you do like multiple RTMP feeds, like for our stream we did yesterday, I streamed the program feed to you and the multi-view feed to my channel. But one of the problems I actually ran into is you could only select output 1 or 2 as the source.
Right.
They just updated that, and now it's 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Okay.
So a little more flexibility there as well, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, a lot packed in there, I think. I love it.
And Guy, I know you also like vMix, use it a lot. What do you think about all of these new features?
I just want the beta. I just want to start playing with Zoom and seeing how that integration looks. I'm a little surprised at how many you can get, though. I was thinking that we would be in Zoom ISO territory where we can get more 1080p feeds. I thought we'd be able to get like 8 or so, but I was hearing yesterday in the demo that the Stream Geeks guys put up that they were saying 4 or 5. Or do you know why we're bandwidth limited? This may be an Andy question for the 30 megabit, 'cause I thought we were getting up to 100 or so megabit in total across all the feeds.
So I think, and we'll check and let everyone know, but if you look at it, all the other integrations are bound to the 30 Mbits Zoom limit. So Zoom rooms, for example, also can't get us more. So like it's on the level of a Zoom room. Now I can have basically a Zoom room in vMix, which is really great. Zoom ISO still has all of these features. And I think one of the things since Andy's company joined Zoom, we have seen is like the development of they use Zoom ISO as the race car, and then they go on, and now they did this SDK. And like, I mean, how fast did vMix implement it? Like, as software developers, I was like, yeah, every user's going to be like, when are you going to have it ready? But like, that was really, really quick.
Really quick, impressively fast.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, could you grab me a mouse pad over there, Jonas? I think that they're right down there over there. Can you grab one of those for me? That's one of the bummers about being on this side is I don't get the swag.
I'll grab a mouse pad for you. Yeah.
You're missing the merch.
I'll grab you a mouse pad.
Yeah, grab me one too. Maybe you can come to Mexico and we can meet and you can give me my mouse pad. That'd be great. And everyone watching, remember, you can ask questions at askofficehours.com. That's like an easier way to send questions for the field teams, and we can ask really, really good questions if you throw in them to us. And I'm sure if you have anything else to show us there over the vMix booth, I think we have a question about the Zoom integration, but I think you covered it mainly. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, and also there was some.
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
New buttons over there. Can you head over there, Jonas, right over to where the Stream Deck interaction is? Is there any way that you can show that over there on the right side?
That's right. Yeah. Over here.
So what's really cool is they also have an integration with the Stream Deck Plus now.
Exactly.
The one that does the rotation. So
exactly. It's over there.
We can show it over there.
I don't know if we can quite see it.
If you, I don't know if you can see the Stream Deck with the rotating knobs, and that is now also integrated. So we earlier saw a demo where you could crop with it, and yeah, it's really great for those that don't want to use a third-party software.
And then there was touchscreen integration as well. Do you know from a Companion standpoint, is that the way that that's working? Is that's all programmed in Companion? Or is that native vMix?
I don't think it's programmed in Companion. I think it's all native.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. We can check later, but I'm pretty sure it was more native than it was through Companion. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and how are we looking with Field Team 2?
It looks like we're going over to Field Team 2.
Hey! Yeah, it looks like we're back.
Indeed.
No, we're at Skaarhoj, eh?
Indeed, and I think we talked about interoperability just a moment ago, and this is kind of really one of the companies that excels in this, because if you have PTZ cameras from different manufacturers or binding stuff together from different manufacturers, their stuff is really one way to go, because they work with virtually everything. Even cameras like camcorders you couldn't really shade before, you can do so now with their controllers. So yeah, that's Skaarhoj, and we have Silas here. Hello.
Hello.
So what would you say? What's the theme for Skaarhoj at this IBC? What's going on?
Yeah, we have 4 new highlights we are showing this year. So the first of them is we're standing just beside. That is real RCP control for the Sony FX6 and FX9 cameras.
Okay. So do you want to show it?
Yeah, sure. We have our RCP Pro here with our own custom-built joystick and even with iris readout in the display. So now we are connected to the Sony FX6, and in that way you can get a cinematic look and still keep your great RCP experience.
That's awesome. I absolutely love that the aperture is in the dial. I mean, that's a fantastic touch.
Yeah, we like to look at stuff and see how can we keep it working great and how can we keep up and add new stuff to it as well.
That's absolutely brilliant. What else have you got for us?
Well, of other highlights, in the back here we have a SWP08 connected to a Riedel Micron. So if you want to set your cross points, typically you won't have that many different devices to select. If you want a lot of devices, if you want NKK buttons, color OLED displays, we have you covered.
And this connecting with Riedel, Lucas, that's one of your big areas.
Yeah, I mean that's great because as you said and I said earlier, it's so hard if you have different manufacturers and have their own stuff, and so you can integrate very nicely.
So the really benefit of Skaarhoj is that we only do control. That's what we do, and that's why we have so many friends.
So we actually got a question here from Jeff Keithley, who's over in Texas. He's asking what is new with the Reactor 2.0 update.
I'm happy you asked. We have Casper's Cave just around the corner.
Oh,
Should we take a look at
Casper's Cave? That doesn't sound dodgy at all. Oh, and Casper's actually here.
Casper's here as well.
Yeah.
So, in Reactor 2.0, it's basically the same. It's not much changed around, but just more polish into it. So we have built a new interface for making it just a lot more simple to assign a specific command to it. Another thing you might see at the back row over here is that we have so many different devices. So with Reactor 2.0, we are celebrating that you can collect USB to controllers. So if you want a Stream Deck, an Xkey, a foot pedal, well, we keep you covered. This is your one-stop solution to make control. And what happens if you're on a production and maybe your CCU operator is sick, but you still need to run Iris, but doesn't really have the ability to move your RCPs? Well, you can even set up a web interface over here, like running in a web browser on an iPad, on a phone. And then you can easily set up the commands you need for this specific day to be where you need it. All set up with Reactor 2.0.
Nice. I think we have more questions, right?
Well, that was our question from Jeff, so we've just gone through that. Jeff, if you have any follow-ups, please feel free to throw them in. Guy and Javier, have you got anything for Skaarhoj?
For what?
Well,
Guy,
no,
Javier, have you got anything for us on the that you'd like to know?
I don't have any
problem.
questions
So,
at the top of my head.
Unless there's any more... No problem. So that's it. Anything else, Silas, from Skaarhoj?
Yeah, the last highlight we have is our mega panel in a new slim fit design connected to Kairos.
Let's go for
should
it.
we go there? So our mega panel is this modular panel we have where you basically select what controllers you like, build them together. If you wanted 1ME, 2ME, 3ME, 4ME, we'll build it for you. An interesting thing we have set up in this demo on the Kairos is that this one is statically following an ME, while the upper row is changing compared to what ME you're into. So now I'm into this ME, now I'm into something else. So it's following your needs, so you don't need to have a too big panel when you have a crazy system like Kairos where you just have 10 MEs or something like that. And all of this is modular. You select the units you like, and they fit into this frame.
Great. And is that something, because you said we build it for you, so that's not something I as a customer configure myself, or do I?
Well, we have default configurations you can put on it for TriCaster, for Kairos, for ATEM, for vMix. You simply set it up the way you like to. We have a default, so you get fast started, and then you can tweak all of the settings for your specific needs.
Nice, thank you.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Silas. We're actually going to go over the aperture now, so thank you so much for that. That's brilliant.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to do a wee live walk now as we actually go through. So we've got, give you kind of a bit of a sense of what's around us. We've got small rig just behind us. We're walking past WildLink Core, which is absolutely lovely batteries that I have two of that are actually currently, we're using some of right now. And then we've got Aperture just over here. And I absolutely adore Aperture stuff. We actually started last year's IBC at the Aperture booth. So this is fantastic. We've actually got space around us to walk. This is unheard of.
One of the brightest booths in this hall.
It is. It does remind me of the Canon booth. It's got that same kind of black and red color scheme kind of going on. So they've got an absolutely gorgeous range. So if you've got any questions, Javier, Guy, or our online audience to give us on the on Aperture, please feel free to send it through. We've also got our QR code, which links you to askofficehours.com. And we've got a Meccana as well, so feel free to fire anything through. It's getting a bit noisy in this middle of this, so I apologise if the audio is getting tricky, because Aperture seems to have opened up a bar in the middle of their booth. It is coming up to 5 o'clock, which is a lot of booths tend to have a bit of a happy hour on Saturdays.
Indeed, yeah.
Hospitality hour.
I mean, this is something we will encounter on our way through the halls. A lot of people with cocktails and or beer. So yeah, I think that will be interesting if we when we go on later. Yeah,
it's about 5 o'clock here in Amsterdam. So this is from 5 to 6 is your kind of your let's have a bit of fun and a bit of a hobnobbing kind of networking time. So here we are in front of the Aperture kind of range for the 300X all the way up to the 600X. I've recently got one of their kind of smaller 150s, which completely blew me away. We're kind of doing a lot more behind-the-scenes stuff over at our work, and one of this kind of really small, really entry-level light, it's about a 300-pound light. It connects with a fantastic mini-dome, and it was just absolutely gorgeous, the amount of range it could do. The only thing it doesn't have is DMX, which isn't particularly surprising since it's an entry-level light. But just the absolute range it could do, the intensity of the light was absolutely gorgeous. So worth it really looking at the Aperture range from their base all the way up. Guy, Javier, have you experienced Aperture? Have you been illuminated by them?
So right behind me, I'm using one of the P200Cs. I see on their website that they have the Aperture Delta EcoFlow. It's a big battery pack. Do you see that located nearby? Because I'm curious as to their 600 seems to be getting popular in the rental houses.
Oh yeah.
I'm wondering how long that thing will go for. It should look like a cooler. So it's like a drag. It's got a handle and wheels and you can drag it along. It should be there at the show. Oh, there it is.
It's funny you say, because it's just down there with Lucas.
Here. Yeah, we have it here, and it really, I mean, it's an EcoFlow, so it looks like an EcoFlow, but that's the thing. And I have one of those myself, not the Aperture one, but a standard EcoFlow one. And they're great. I mean, the power you get out of it, and even if you have the solar panel, if you're on a shoot where you have the sun with you, that's really great because you can load it while it is actually using power, so it will hold on for much longer. Yeah. The only thing, of course, is they're heavy. I mean, they're really, really heavy. So without the wheels, you couldn't really move them anyway.
Well, is that a kind of one office hours field crew camera kit heavy or heavier?
You can try. I mean,
I can try it. Except I'm holding two things at the same time.
I'll try to hold your microphone for you.
Thank you very much. Oh, okay, that's definitely heavier.
Richard.
Yeah,
but how many stones does that weigh?
I'll say it in kilograms. That's got to be at least 50.
Yeah,
it's got to be around
about
30 to 40 kilograms. Like my bag coming over here today was about 29 kilograms, and that feels heavier. So it's a hefty beast, shall we say? But it's doing an absolutely fantastic job, especially because lots of these lights will be. I mean, I can't quite see how it's powering just this one light at the moment.
Yeah, no, it has two connectors connected. Yeah. I mean, the one thing that makes this one special from the standard ones is the bigger connector. I don't know what it is called, but
the connector here,
we'll just
it's
unplug
not a
it.
standard Euro plug or something. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. I don't know who I'm thanking. Thank you, Guy and Javier, for throwing that question in. But we're going to head over now to Field Team 1, who are kind of over at Moses, hopefully. Well, we'll see. I shouldn't really say the booth name until I know exactly where they are. But we're going to head over to Field Team 1.
This time it was okay that you said the booth name because we are indeed at Moses, which was correct. And we're kind of allowed to take over the area here while we talk about what the system is. So they have this StarTech system on the ground here. You can see all the little dots. One of the most used systems in the industry is what they told me before. I'm guessing they're right about that. And the idea being that the technology they make looks at all the dots and figure out where you're at. In fact, behind Jonas here, they have the Sony FR7, I forgot which one, on their system here, the real system. And underneath this, there's an extra little module, the Moses module here, that has the what was it called again? The system
Star Tracker?
Exactly, the Star Tracker, to look at the dots underneath, the stars underneath, and see where the camera is in space. Traditionally, you would have this camera on a more of a fixed position in this kind of setup. You can see the screen in the background. I can show that in a minute. But what you can do is combine those two things together and have a look. One other thing he was showing us just a second ago, but unfortunately the rep here had to go off to a meeting, was a really interesting system where people want to do a shoot with a car, and you're outside the car, shooting the car and getting a nice virtual background, but then you go inside the car and no longer can you see the stars, of course, because the floor is gone. So what was it they added to the front of it?
There's an optical tracker at the front. And like he said, it's seamlessly. So you just go in and the optical system takes over. There's a seamless track. You don't lose your tracking data. It's not like it's jumping.
Right.
And then when you go out, the star system takes over again. And like I think that's really great because like otherwise you're limited to where can I put my stars in, and like it's not only used for movies but also like for broadcast.
Exactly.
But since it's also used for movies where you are really creative and you don't want to like limit your creativity, that's where like going into a tunnel or going into a car or something else where it's hard to put the star pattern on the floor, that solution is just great. Don't think they have it released yet. They're still working on productarizing it.
Exactly.
But, like, it's really cool tech, and I mean that's what we're here for, to see really cool tech.
One of the interesting things that he just showed me there a second ago was it's taken them about 3 years to look at the old design and turn it into this new version that they've created. And before it was like 1.5 kilos, now it's under about 700 grams, I think you said?
750.
Yeah, so big difference whenever you're gunning on a smaller camera. You don't want a whole lot more weight added to that for certain setups, so it's really
and
cool
like
to see.
especially like we mentioned for movie, when you have to like switch, have to go from like a steady cam on the morning to like an other rig in the evening. For broadcast it doesn't make too much difference often, except if you're flying it with a steady what's the cable cam, with a cable cam, then it still makes a difference. But it's really cool technology, and they're showing a bunch of different motion control heads. I think it's the most amount of FR7s I've ever seen.
It is. I've never seen this
like
many in one space.
Yeah.
It looks amazing in here. They were just released last year at IBC, right? The FR7s,
I'm not sure if it was at IBC, but they were released
right
last
before
year.
that. Yeah.
It's
fun to see them in this situation here. Any questions before we head over to their next panel? Because we're doing a back-to-back here. Maybe the panel on the other side has something they want to ask us before we go.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay, cool. So should we head over to the next booth? I every time I learn how to say the name, I always forget.
You know, I probably should have asked how you say the name before we do it.
Should we go this way?
Sure. Can we go that way?
Yeah, cool.
Let's see. So we're going to Aja.
Yes.
Or AJA. We don't know.
We don't know. AJA, I'm pretty sure though.
You know them maybe from your streamers. They announced new cards.
Yeah.
But what I also wanted to show is we at Office Hours, we like to do our HDR stuff. So you have a color box that basically does all of the things that we also do.
Yeah.
So back there, if we can come along.
Cool.
Here are the converters we use, the frame synchronizers we use at Office Hours to up-convert our SDR signals up to the HDR. But they have a lot of other functions, like you can see. They can do up-down cross, they can do multi-link to single-link. So sometimes when you don't need all of that, then you can take the color box, which
they have
just
right
does
at the
the
end
color.
here.
Yeah,
Color box. We're making our camera op do a lot of work here to get out of the way of us.
So the color box is really interesting, and there was an update to the software, and it might be more of the higher end of our group, but I like going here every time. And then if we take a walk around the booth.
Keep on walking. This is great. I love this moving around thing here.
Yeah, I really like the design of the booth because there's like so much to discover all the time.
Yeah. Loads more stuff around here, definitely.
So
but
we see all the different microconverters.
Exactly, yeah.
There's a lot of different converters that they have.
They do.
And like more than once, there was a problem where we're like, yeah, I don't know how to solve that. Let's see, are they...
Yeah, you can see them really well here, like all of the microconverters that they have on the booth here.
Different converters. And like more optical fiber, HDMI, and more than often we like run into an issue where we need to convert something from A to B, and this is where we find really high quality solution. And then what you see with the cards, this is the open gear system. So like like magic microconverters, and we've seen so many builds where people like strap them to a little rack shelf and build their thing. If you want to do the professional version, is you buy one of those frames.
Yeah.
It's a rack frame where you then can put the cards in. So there's different providers, ROS, it's an open ecosystem of ROS, and then you can put these converters in, which is really similar to those converters, but now they're in a unique format. You can put them in, and now let's see how many you fit in there. Can't read it.
We don't know. We'll
we
find
don't
out.
know. A bunch. And it's really cool because then you can say, hey, I need this from there. You have it all in ROS dashboard to control it. It's a unique thing. Like Magic used to also make some open gear cards.
That's right.
But I really like seeing all the different versions. I'm like,
that's what I was going to say, actually.
Yeah.
Where else can you go?
Can we see the new
on a website? You can't really see
4K
this,
transmitter
right?
and receivers?
I mean, it just looks epic to stand in front of you and be like, that's all the things that you. And when you then know like how many problems stand behind each converter, right? Like you, especially when we go into like 12G, you often run in a problem where you're like, there must be a solve, there must be. And then you find it with here and you're like, great, now we can continue with this production. Like more than often it's like, there has to be a solution or we can't do the production in this like more leading 12G field. And then they also don't break your back. Like they're worth their money, built well.
You'll be happy.
They're not cheap.
No.
But that's
okay.
You get a great quality out of them. There's a converter tool. It's really great.
Yeah. And Guy had a question there. Guy, I hope we can do it for you. What did you say?
Yeah, I was hoping to see the new Dante AV 4K transmitter and receivers. They have little boxes over there because I was curious as to not just the video portion, but also just the audio portion, if we can transfer and convert SDI and embed Dante to SDI via one of those $2,500 converters versus buying a $2,100 device that's currently on the market, and are those shipping the Dante AV 4K transmitter and receivers?
That's a great question. Yeah, we've relocated over to answer your question here by the Dante AV receivers. Now, I personally haven't made it to this booth yet, so we may have to make some educated guesses, but at least they have them here on show to show us all what's going on. I guess we can ask the question after the fact and find out for you, Guy. That would be the best way to do it, I think, instead of making some educated guesses.
That's great. You could grab one of those dudes. Yeah. That's what their jobs are. Just grab one of them and just be like, hey, yo, my friend Guy all the way in Seattle is asking this question. He came all the way through this line underneath the Atlantic, and he came into this booth just to ask you all about Dante AV. There's a guy right there. Grab him.
Yeah, well, we have at it. We've grabbed the guy. He's confused because he doesn't know that I'm listening to you on the other end, Guy. But no problem. We just want you to tell us a little bit about the Dante AV, what you've got, and release times and all that good stuff.
Sure. Yeah, we are. You can buy it now. Shipping now. It's the Dante AV 4K T and 4K R encoder decoder. So basically, we're taking 12G SDI video, 4K HDMI, converting it into Dante AV Ultra, which uses the JPEG 2000 codec. So you get ultra low latency, subframe. You can use it for iMag live type productions. And if you know how to use Dante audio, then you can use Dante Controller to route video and multicast it to multiple outputs. So we're just taking a UHD 5994 video, routing it in through there, encoding to the switch, out to receiver. You're seeing it up there. And then we also have there's a Dante AV Studio plugin that works with OBS, vMix, Zoom, Teams. And so we can route that same signal into the laptop there and stream it, record it. And you can set up multiple units. So this laptop's also connected to a unit that then is connected to the screen up there. You get KVM over it, IR over it, and all the convenience of people, what they know and love about Dante audio is now available for Dante video.
Really cool. And do you have some prices on the receivers?
Yeah, $24.95 a piece. It's all the info's on our website, aja.com. And yeah, like I said, you can order it now, shipping now.
Really great. Thank you so much for your answers. Yeah, and we got the answer on the AJA as well. Yeah.
So one thing that's really cool is they implemented like the highest spec of Dante AV. So like NDIA check is still cool, but it's low bandwidth and it's easier to implement because it's based on an H.264 codec. But they have the real Ultra. It's really called cool. Ultra for a reason. It's really cool. They have all the IP, audio, KVM, Visca, everything in there. And honestly, as a developer, I just love when someone actually like implements the spec. Yeah. And
I think that's the thing whenever you come to a place like this and see like an AJA booth. Like we said a minute ago, it's more expensive than some of the stuff I might traditionally buy, but they go all in and they'll do all the right stuff. Yeah. And you'll be much happier with your purchase, definitely.
Yeah, and like it will hold longer. Yeah. And like the one thing we notice is like you have way less like of these little weird things that you need to debug. Just works because they really entice the spec like we saw there.
Exactly, and I think we're ready to throw back over to Field Team 2. Are you in position in your next place?
Hey, yeah, we're over here with John Barker, actually. Hey, no, we're not. We're here with Joe from CentralControl. So, Joe, tell us a little bit what's new in CentralControl.
Yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, CentralControl for the longest time has been a software that ran on a Windows system to connect any controller pretty much to any kind of device. Slowly grew to expand to have features like a teleprompter, a timeline, rundown system. But what we've done at the show this year is we've taken it back to its core, CentralControl core, and we've made it cross-platform, which people have been getting on at me for a very long time. Can you write a Mac version? Well, I'll do you one better. We're on embedded Linux as well, and that is actually what we're demonstrating here at the show.
That's brilliant. Do you want to show us a little bit what you got?
Yeah. So here we've got this is the new Xkeys modular system. You build it out however you choose, different modules. And in fact, CentralControl is not running on this laptop. It's in fact running on a little single board computer running inside the device. So I've got control of my ATEM. I've got graphics program from someone you might not know running, H2R Graphics. Massive shout out to John.
No, we've never heard of it.
No. Something about that. I've also got a hyperdeck which I'm controlling with this jog shuttle, and that's it. I've got full control of the SuperSource system, and it's an appliance. It's CentralControl in hardware essentially.
Very nice. So it is just a little box like, is it comparable to, say, a Raspberry Pi or something?
It is a similar machine to the Raspberry Pi. We have had some issues with the Pi, so we've been evaluating different single boards, and this one, I think it's Asus, has been the best yet.
Nice. Yeah, that's really brilliant to not have to bring a PC or something to do it.
So this is the Windows version. All you need a PC, any operating system with a browser, and you log in. If you've used CentralControl, this should be immediately familiar. It's very much the same. I can do all my control mapping here. I can select multiple controls, assign commands really quickly. It'll increment, the source if it's a video mixer. I can set all my feedback here. Feedback completely automatic, and it's supposed to be as quick and easy as possible to use. And when you're done, get rid of the laptop, and now I've got a self-contained device that will handle all of my control for my production.
So you could program everything at home and then say ship it out with the embedded system?
If you're a freelancer and you've got doing a vMix production, say, you can set all of this up. No need to start importing configuration files onto the customer's vMix system. Just type in the IP address and you've got your whatever control mapping you want. We've all got our ways of doing stuff. You can just take it with you.
Great.
That's brilliant. So remote control wise,
yes.
So I ship this out as Lucas says, and then I can dial into it. What's kind of option?
You could. I mean, there's no real way to. There's no cloud management tool, but it's in. You own your destiny. If you wanted to open up the relevant ports so you could remotely manage the system, you could absolutely do that. It's just a web server running internally. Yeah.
And what about the opposite of that, where I say ship a control like this to, say, someone in Australia, looking at you, Mr. Shand, and he then controls the system over in Ireland?
So that's been a big selling point of CentralControl, and many of our customers use it exclusively to connect their hardware panels on their desk to a cloud instance of vMix or VisVector. And you can do that with this. I could set this up to run a vMix system in AWS, take it with me wherever I might need to be, and I'd be ready to punch the show as if the system was right there with me on-prem.
That's absolutely awesome. We actually have a question here from Mark Slater in Florida in the US. CentralControl, new functionality seems great, but, wait for it, tension.
Yeah.
But how about improving the documentation so it's easier to actually take advantage of the capabilities?
Yeah, no, I'm put on the spot. I have been doing a lot more documentation. I did a four-part series on the teleprompter on YouTube. It goes from everything from basic setup to how to automate an entire production with the prompter. It's something we're getting better at. I mean, I'd be lying if I said there weren't some growing pains to this business, but if you email me, I will always help you to make up for the documentation. But we've got the wiki now as well, which lists every device and its capabilities, and there is a manual. It needs a slight update because I'm writing in new features quicker than I can write manuals, and I apologize for that.
I think most people that write software know the pain of that, so I think we can relate.
I was about to say, I mean, documentation, I don't think you can be that harsh on documentation, but it is also such an important part.
Indeed,
it makes that accessibility, just opens it up to a whole new...
Yeah, and I think we'll just smash out loads more video tutorials. I'd love to see one about the timeline, this, that, and the other. And I can probably take my head up a bit and breathe now that this is actually, and we're at IBC and it's actually working. So loads to do, more to come.
Well, I know a number of office hours users who are actually going to use CentralControl a lot, and they might be able to help you with some demo videos if you're ever interested.
No, fantastic. And I think, a lot of people in the office hours community are definitely Mac users, and they have been on to me. When will you bring it to Mac? Never. I said never up until the last minute, so I could surprise everyone with this new cross-platform CentralControl.
Nice.
That's
One quick question for me. I'm an audio guy, so I'm happy when I see faders. Can you talk a little bit about the integration of those faders?
I absolutely can. I think Maggie is probably better placed to do so, but this is the new Xkeys fader module. It is motorized faders, so if I drag up the fader in the ATEM software, you'll see it moves on there. And truly, motorized faders are the only way to be. You can't risk the faders being out of alignment with the software. This is great. It's another module. It can fit straight into the chassis if you want. Build whatever modular system you want to. But I think it's time to hand over to Maggie to explain all the options available to you.
That's right. A nice segue to Maggie from Xkeys. Hiya.
Want me to hold it? Are you holding it? Okay. Hi, how's it going?
So Joe was actually just introducing us to the new kind of fader control. Can you give us some more deets?
Absolutely. I'm not sure what he said. I didn't hear the whole spiel, but
you give us the spiel.
Well, what he's doing is just showing a little bit about how custom you can get with this new modular setup. So he has picked the components that are in there right now, but you could add multiple jogs, multiple T-bars. You can add a QWERTY. You can add rack systems. So, we're literally doing this all in our shop in Michigan. So we're going to be able to cut the metal to whatever lengths you prefer. I think in our sheet we have up to 21, assuming you're probably going to want the 19 rack length, but you could go as long as you want. You can add as many components as you want. You could even throw a QWERTY in the middle. So, it's basically exactly what you need, we can do it.
That's
So,
awesome. Actually, we have a question here from Dave Edwards. It says, for Xkeys, will the new... do you know Dave?
I know Dave.
Oh, that's
He's used
brilliant.
Xkeys for a long time. Hi,
Oh.
Dave.
So he says, for Xkeys, will the new CentralControl core be able to be used with previous Xkeys products?
Ooh, that's a good question, probably for Joe. It depends on what he means by previous. Our Xkeys have lived for a very long time, so we have like SE versions, MW2 versions, Xkeys series.
Dave wants them all. He wants every single one.
I would say that Joe could do it, but I'm not 100% on that. I know that he will support anything we're doing from here on out. I highly doubt that he would not support something. So if there's anyone out there that has an old Xkeys, definitely shoot me or Joe an email, and we can definitely get it in there. So I would be shocked if he couldn't.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Joe's just over there, so maybe we'll be able to actually get him back in a wee second.
Yeah,
Is there
definitely.
anything else from Xkeys you wanted to kind of show us off?
I mean, yeah, if you wanted to take a step over there, we have the whole family here. We have a little bit of every flavor you can probably imagine. We have stick keys, foot pedals, replay systems. I don't know how to move with this microphone, okay? Yeah, excellent. So as I said, we have literally just about every flavor. We have our giant switcher that supports up to 124 keys. We obviously have customized this more of a video switcher layout, but the cool thing about Xkeys is it's all Lego concept, similar to the modular. So you'd use a key puller and just pull off these single keys. You can totally change that layout. So we have the 80 key, we have the little JAG 12, which a lot of people like for replay. It's a smaller footprint. We have the 40 key rack mount with ears. We have a standard 40 key. We have our 128, which is also made in Michigan. This is made in Michigan. We now have trackballs. If you guys are into laser trackballs, we now sell those. We have our switch interface devices, which are always if you need a button to put down somewhere, we can do that. We have a GPIO device, so input-output if you need some lights controlled. We even sell the brains of our Xkeys. So if you really want to get custom, we sell our encoder board. You can wire up to 128 switches and build your own. So
that's absolutely awesome.
It's pretty wild. Yeah,
Oh,
we
it's
literally
absolutely
tried to come
fantastic.
up with just about every size you could probably think of. So
We actually have a question for Joe again, so actually I might just pan behind
let's
us.
go. Let's
Joe
ask
actually,
him.
yeah, Joe, we're
very
doing
much.
this fast now. Joe, we got another kind of question from Jeff Keithley in Texas, who you may already know. He's Jeff Keithley. You don't know him? No, I don't know him. So Joe asks, Jeff asks, when will we see Panasonic production cameras added to the CentralControl for painting and shading?
Soon.
There you go, Jeff. Soon.
Yep, that's the answer.
That's the answer. Oh yes, we actually had a wee
I had a question for him as well, Richard.
moved on. Someone's moved on our questions. Yeah, actually, Guy's got a wee question on our remote panel. Guy, go
So
for
if
it.
we own CentralControl for Windows and we are mostly a Mac user, is that license transferable or do we buy a new license?
That's a really good question, actually. Is the license transferable between the different versions, Mac, Linux, and the Windows?
So Core is going to be a new product, but it is my intention to offer people... Core will replace Intro as it is now. It's my intention to offer... It doesn't have exactly the same features as we build up Core, but if people want to transfer their license from Intro to Core, we'll be happy to facilitate that. But it's on a request basis.
It's on a request basis, much like the documentation.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a personal kind of service that you got going on.
Because some people are going to want to stick with the Windows version because of its capabilities. So if you want to switch to Core, we will do it free of charge.
That's interesting. So is there a capability difference between Intro and Core?
There is some stuff that's, like for example, there's stuff like PowerPoint and Voice Meter that is only possible on Windows because we're interoperating with the operating system a lot. And I expect these features to make it over to Core, but for now, if you want Core, you can transfer to that instead, and then same license can be used across the platforms.
No, that's awesome. That's completely understandable because it's new, just out. You're going to be.
We don't want to leave people in the cold, but we also don't want to force people to switch if they're very happy with Intro.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Maggie, we actually got a wee question there for you.
Nice.
Lucas.
Yeah, Mac drivers for Xkeys was the question there.
We have our own version of Xkeys for Mac now. It is free on our website to download, so have at it.
There we go.
That's awesome. We did have a question for Dave, didn't we? That we asked Maggie, but Maggie wanted to also ask you. So, Joe, Dave Edwards says, for Xkeys, will the new central core be able to be, and someone's popped another question just in front of it, so I can't see it. I'm going to hit question. But yes, will Central Core be able to be used for previous Xkeys products?
Yes, I've got, as well as my new Xkeys modules, the new ones, I've actually got an older jog shuttle here that I'm using for the hyperdeck. Mix and match. It will support every Xkeys, past and present. Everything, every Xkeys that's in current central control is in core. So yes.
That's awesome. We actually have more questions than coming in. That's why they keep coming up on my little screen.
Nice,
so give me a wee
nice.
second.
While you search one, I'll ask one, because we have this new fader panel, and Joe already talked about it. Is there a price for it yet?
Oh, that is a great question that I don't know on the spot. We literally are just showing this fully functional this week, so I can get back with you on that. I am sorry I'm on the spot and don't know the answer to that.
No worries.
Yeah, it's brand new, and we're really excited that Central Control Core has it going. So
That's awesome. And free demos, free copies for people who come to IBC, is that right?
free copies of Central Control Core, is that what
Oh,
I'm
no,
hearing?
everything. We just want free stuff.
Oh,
that's
free
all we
stuff.
want.
I mean, we have some free keys samples I can give you. I have
Ooh.
some stickers, mouse pads. I can hook you up with that.
The office.
I can do an exclusive. I'll say this. If you, the Windows version of Central Control with all its features is a 30-day free trial. But if you were to email, I want an extra 30 days at centralcontrol.io, that exists already. I will extend your trial to 60 days.
That is awesome. So
go.
we've got one more wee question there from Tommy. It says, for Joe, can you share your configurations with others?
Yes, you can save and export presets of Central Control. And if you want, I've got no problem with people coming in our Facebook user group that's Central Control users on Facebook and share it for the benefit of others. I'm all for it.
That's awesome.
Wonderful.
I think we've been taking up these fantastic people's time and long enough. They've got socialising and beers to have. Thank you so much. So we'll be throwing it back over to John and Jonas. I hope things are going well over your side.
Save and export.
Things are indeed going well over on our side. We are here at the Magewell booth. I'm with Mike, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Director Mini, something that a lot of people in my circles have been really excited about over the last few days. So, Mike, tell us what it is and what's happening here.
Thanks, John. I'm glad you're excited about it, too, because we certainly are. We've been working on this for quite a while. This is our first all-in-one portable production and streaming system. So, everybody knows Magewell for capture devices, streaming, IP conversion. Now we've packed that all in one box, portable with the touchscreen interface, with all the production tools you might want for a single operator to do live event coverage, remote contribution feeds, all that sort of thing. So it packs multi-input switching, graphics, streaming, recording, and monitoring, all in one device that can be battery powered, plugged in, obviously camera mountable, and is really easy to use.
Tell us a bit about the I/O, just because we can't get quite so close on the camera here.
Sure. I'm glad you asked, because that's one of the things that really makes it stand out. It's got all the AV and IP inputs that you might want. There's 2 HDMI inputs, 2 USB inputs, which you could use for either webcams or even like an audio mixer. And in addition to that, you can bring in up to 3 IP sources, including SRT, RTMP, and NDI-HX. On top of all that, you can load media files into it, video, audio, and so forth, so you can be cutting back and forth between live and pre-recorded. And we have a companion app that will turn your smartphone into a mobile camera, so you can also be feeding mobile camera sources in as well. So all of those are available. You can pre-build scenes that will be able to, that you can do picture-in-picture. You can switch between all the different camera angles. You can preload media. If you've got recorded files, you can tell it to automatically trigger the next scene as soon as you get to the end of one, all that sort of thing. So right on the interface, I'm just going to quickly switch between some sources here. I don't have my mobile phone up at the moment. That would be the phone, obviously, if it was. And I've got some pre-recorded video here as well. So all of that directly through the touchscreen interface, or if you have the mobile app, you can also be doing switching within it. So that's the input side of it. Now let's talk production tools. I mentioned that it does graphics. So one of the key things, obviously I'm showing sports footage, so I'll put a scoreboard up right now as well. You have full scoreboard controls, so it's really easy. You can be incrementing the score, having the game time countdown, things like that. One of the other fun things when we're talking sports is real-time telestration, so you can be drawing on the video. I've got that set to fade out in a few seconds. And then all the other standard type graphics type stuff that you might want, lower thirds, clocks, timers I mentioned already, any kind of keying graphic that you want to bring in, animated crawls and so forth across the bottom, all of that can be done right on the box.
And all this is available right now, shipping, the app and the device itself, and the price on this stuff?
Shipping about a week ago. U.S. list price is about just under $1,300 for the unit. And again, that combines everything we talked about. You don't need a separate streaming encoder. You don't need a separate CG. I mentioned streaming. If I bring that up, you can stream to, we got presets for Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitch. If you have live comments coming in, they can be displayed as well. As well as you could do an SRT. You could do 2 separate SRT feeds as contribution feeds, or you could do one NDI-HX if you're feeding a local production workflow. And you can record onto the device as well. It's got inboard storage as well as an SD card slot and a USB slot. So you can be bringing all of that in, all these output capabilities. You got monitoring, everything you'd want.
Really cool. And we're not done in the Magewell booth because I'm going to back graciously out of the way. And Jonas is going to... Exactly, and take it over. Jonas, next.
So one of the things that really sparked my interest is you have a full API for this as well, right?
We have an API. We are still rolling it out. We just started shipping this, but all of our products have a full API, and we will be rolling out an API for this too.
And when I'm not on location to use the API, you also have a solution for that, don't you?
Well, we do. So actually, this box also has a web interface, so you could access it directly if you want.
Yeah.
But beyond that, then you also have Control Hub. So Control Hub is our second generation management software. Our first one was called Magewell Cloud. Not the greatest name because you could also run it on premises. So, that was a little bit confusing. But, the whole idea is we've redesigned the dashboard to bring, really put the important information front and center at a glance for users of the, the whole idea, again, is if you have multiple units out there in the field, remote production workflows or throughout a campus, to be able to centrally configure and control them all. For people who are familiar with the earlier Magewell Cloud, one thing they'll notice right away that we've got running on some of these is video previews.
I was about to say, video previews directly there.
Exactly.
What are they? How much bandwidth do they use?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'll admit it. I'm on the marketing side as opposed to the technical side, but the idea was to make it really bandwidth efficient because you could actually be running like 50 or 100 devices through here. You obviously don't want to saturate your network with just the confidence monitoring. So the idea is to have all this information at a glance even before you drill down into any device. And if you want to get into the nuts and bolts, then it will bring up the actual dedicated panel for that particular device.
And that also works with the Reactor?
It works with all of our products, Director Mini, the USB Fusion, which is our capture and mixing device for presentations, as well as Ultra Encode and Ultra InStream and Ultra Encode AIO, which are our live media encoders, and our ProConvert NDI stuff as well. All of that can be controlled through Control
And I don't
Hub.
have to be on the same network to control it. It can be remote. I can just access my self-hosted Control Hub instance and then control it remotely.
You got it. You could do the video for me. That's perfect.
I have to ask. So it's a Director Mini.
It's Director Mini.
Are you going to drop the Mini at some point and release a larger one?
I can't tell you anything, then I wouldn't be able to let you leave the booth.
So we were earlier also talking about the Ultra Encode AIO.
Yes.
That's like the latest encoder from you?
It is. It's our flagship encoder. I mean, we've had multiple different... we still have multiple options for standalone encoders. We start with our Ultra Stream, which is for the non-technical users. So it's got, the colorful buttons on the top. Just start and go. Then we go into our Ultra Encode line, which was really designed to be format flexible because it does H.264, H.265, NDI-HX2, NDI-HX3. So it can be used for live streaming or IP-based production. Ultra Encode AIO came out last year as the new flagship model in it. You no longer have to choose whether you have HDMI or SDI input. You have both on the same unit. It does all the formats I mentioned, all the streaming protocols you could want, HLS, SRT, and so forth, and 4K input as well. So you could do 4K P30 on it.
And I also saw you can put the HDMI and the SDI next to each other.
You can.
To stream both at the same time.
Exactly. You could do a side-by-side. You could do a picture-in-picture, so you can combine those for what's going out from there.
And, like always, it's also that you have an open API for it, and it's controllable through Control Hub.
It's controllable through Control Hub, or again, you could directly, if you just have the one unit, you can directly access its web interface to get at everything too.
And I do think we actually have a couple questions.
Oh, wow.
That came in.
Hopefully they noticed I'm not the tech guy, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. The first one is, will Magewell support AV1 encoding?
It is something, we're always looking at all the different formats as they are gradually adopted. I mean, we go with the things that are becoming most mainstream, so AV1 is certainly under consideration.
Yeah, it kind of picked up, like, during this booth, we started with an encoder that had AV1, and we went to vMix, who also announced AV1, and now people are already wanting it. It's
one of the things that I will say is we don't always try to be the absolute first with the new format because there are iterations that it goes through, and it's important to us that when we deliver the product, it's truly robust, and that, we've baked in...
And it's done.
It's done, right? And it works for everybody, so... our goal isn't to be the first. Our goal is to be the reliable choice.
And then Henry Ramos from New York wants to see an update on SDI or HDMI output cards. So not capturing, but like sending out a signal from a PC.
So we don't currently have any output cards in our product line right now. Again, it's something we're always looking at market demand. I can't tell you anything about new products we haven't announced yet, and I'll leave it at that.
Great. Then thanks so much.
You're welcome.
And I think we'll go back to Field Team 2.
30 seconds.
You start with it, and both of you are just 5 minutes.
Hey, so we are at the Genelec booth.
Indeed, a candy shop for me, I'd say. So this is, I really like Genelec. So, and they have something new, which I think was kind of logic to do, actually. So there's Marcel for us. And Marcel, what's the thing you're holding in your hand?
First of all, welcome. Really happy that you visit us. And I'm holding in my hand the first, somehow, controller interface combination we ever, brought to the market. This is called a 9320A. As you know, we always have nice numbers for everything. And this unit can be used to control our GLM software. And we use this to, calibrating our speakers. And you can, of course, also control them. So it's a monitor controller. In addition, it's an audio interface with, connectivity for IS-EBU in-out, analog in-out. And it also offers a really, really well-thought-out headphones preamp for completely different types of headphones, starting from consumer style with 15 ohm things up to, the heavy stuff with 600 ohms. So everything is supported.
And this is the audio interface part is connected via USB, right?
Exactly. It's USB-C, a USB-C connection, and you can just select this. It's class compliant from your computer, and then, for example, stream directly to this unit and then to your speakers.
Speaking of the speakers, could you tell us a little bit about GLM? Because I think this really makes sense if you understand what GLM actually is and does.
Actually, this is our solution that it's possible. We have loudspeakers with built-in DSPs, and we use a software just to analyze the influence of your room acoustics. So we are aware of what's happening in your room, and we can compensate for that with filters that are set by the software. So the software is somehow the heart of everything, because it just fixes things that can be fixed. And of course, the software also lets you know what should be fixed, for example, with room acoustic treatment, because luckily, still physics rule, so there is no chance that you can, stop room treatment. This is needed. But it's really easy to understand what's going on, and it's really easy to find the best positioning for your loudspeakers.
For a long time, you couldn't boost, right? There was no way to
yeah, exactly. For good reasons. Because usually if you have notches, they are caused by reflections, for example, from the back wall or from the floor. And if you boost something, the reflection will be boosted as well. So it doesn't make sense. We offer some boosts now to get, more overall tonal balance to it, but still we are aware of, where physics just should be accepted.
Is there a limitation? I mean, nowadays we talk a lot about Atmos setups with lots of loudspeakers. Are there limitations to how many things you can control?
No. At the moment we can support up to 80 devices in one setup. So
should be enough for most.
Should be enough for most applications. Yeah.
Right.
And as said, for example, the room calibration works for immersive as well. So all of your speakers will sweep, and then the speakers will also be aligned level-wise, and time of flights will be set all in one go. You don't need any external signal generator. Everything is happening in the speaker, so we just have the sweeps included. And 714, for example, is measured within, I think, 5 minutes, and you're done.
Nice. I think the microphone is standing right behind us, right?
This is the basic, measuring microphones we use. And we measure all of them at our factory, and then we use the serial number to just, use the correct calibration file for it.
And I have a question for Genelec. In this era where we have these people,
so
like everyone is listening in different devices, like there are some people that have like a home theater with Atmos setup, and some others watch on their devices like an iPhone or whatever. And how important is now to jump from different like reference monitors or like reference sources when mixing, so you can have like this big panorama from headphones to Atmos?
I'm prepared.
Do you want to rephrase it, or should I?
Well, Javier, if you could give us a wee rephrasing of that, because our connection to the internet's not kind of coming in.
No worries.
So can you give us a wee rephrase of that? Give us a sentence.
Like, how important is it to have like different monitor setups that you can jump while mixing in this era where everyone has like different setups and very complex mixes?
Okay. So he's asking about the mixing aspect. So if you, how important do you think is it to have different monitor setups to jump between while you're working? Because everyone will listen on different devices.
There's a really simple answer to that. If you work on a neutral linear basis, the mixes will translate well to other systems and other rooms. This is what I would tell people. So if you are aware of, the influence of the room, and if you are compensating for that, if you are listening to your reference material, then it's really possible that you just, can rely on what you mix, and you will realize it will work on different systems and in other rooms. It will always sound a little different because of room acoustics, but this is the only way to do it. You will need a really neutral basis to start with.
Wonderful. Additional question to that, you talked a lot about room acoustics, and I know you tend to do that. Where could people find out more if they want to treat their room so the speakers they get are working at their best, I'd say?
Of course, we have material available at generalec.com, but what is also really useful, if you use GLM, so if you do a calibration with GLM, you can also get a so-called grade report. And this is a room acoustics report, which will show in detail all aspects of room acoustics. For example, early reflections, waterfall things, sound-wise, it's really interesting to see early versus late sound, so how much direct sound am I actually hearing compared to my room. And these reports can contain up to 100 pages if it's a larger system. And it's really detailed, and you can use this, for example, to plan your studio acoustics or actually to reach out to an acoustician. And it's a wonderful tool, also just implemented in GLM.
Wonderful. Javier, did that answer your question?
Yes, thanks so much. I don't know if, Guy, you have any other questions for Genelec friends?
Yeah, I was curious as to what is the most popular Genelec model that's out there and why? Why was that one? Because I've seen them all over studios, and I was wondering what that model was.
Yeah, okay, so the question here was from Guy in our panel, and he asked what the most popular Genelec speaker model is and why.
It's a really, really good question. At the moment, the most popular speaker model, if we just look at what we know from numbers, it's 8341 at the moment. So this is the second model of the 1 series, offering you 3-way resolution with a coaxial design, point source, really wide sweet spot, and is, for example, excellent to use in Atmos and in immersive setups. And of course, from the past, all of you know what are the most successful models. But this, for example, actually is one. We are really happy that it sells that often, because it's a really interesting model. Yeah? So you've just seen it. This was the second coming into the picture. This was the 8341.
Yeah. So those speakers, they have a really kind of unique look. Why is that? What makes them different from the 8040 or something?
Yeah. First of all, you can see that we have a coaxial element sitting in the middle of it. So we have the high-frequency driver, then we have the mid-range driver, and then we have a large waveguide opening. And actually, the bass drivers are somehow well hidden behind these two openings. Yeah? So the main difference is it's 3-way, not a 2-way. Then it's a point source, so the drivers have always the same distance to your ears, which means if you start moving, and all of us do move when we mix, you don't get, this small comb filtering things happening. You don't get any coloration. So if you work for longer hours, you will just experience that it's way more relaxed. So the listening fatigue is heavily reduced by these designs. And actually, you can sit really close to them. For example, in OB vans, they are really limited. And if you want to use 3-way, in the past, a classical 3-way design would have needed a distance of, let's say, 1.5 to 2 or even 2.5 meters. Now you can, if you like to, can sit away 50 centimeters, no problem, just because of the coaxial design. And as you can see, we have different options that you can perfectly scale to your room and to your needs. The most important questions usually are, how big is your room? What's the listening distance? And what applications are you doing? All of them also, of course, can be combined with subwoofers. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think we're going to be throwing it over to our other field team. We're on over in Hall 7. So thank you so much for that. It's a really exciting piece of hardware. Really exciting to get to talk to you about everything. And we're going to be throwing it over to field team 1. Over to you, John and Jonas.
Yes, we are here in the Blackmagic Design booth, and we've been set up in the corner because we found the video hub 80x80 that we really wanted to talk about, and I'm going to move out of the way a little so you can see it nicely, right, Jonas? It looks good.
I mean, how many people have asked for a bigger video hub, all of the times it's like, hey, the video app is really great, but I really would like a larger one.
It's got this almost like the 40x40 style panel that you've seen maybe refreshed at NAB earlier in the year. It's that sort of baked into an even taller unit. Obviously, it needs to be much bigger than the 40x40 because it has 80x80 ins and outs, right?
Well, that's actually one of the things I like about it. So if we take a look at the back.
Yeah, let me do that for you while you talk some more about it.
I'll take your mic for a second. Because like one of the things that you'll find with other manufacturers and their routers is they don't have full-size SDI anymore. They have these small little SDI plugs, and if you then want to connect to anything else, now you need to build custom cables and custom converters. So now we see all the different in and outputs. And one thing that if you watch the live stream, you already knew is they also added more repairability to it. So now there's blades in there. I'm not sure how many inputs and outputs are on one blade, but you can like repair the plate. There's 8 in and outputs on a plate, and you can replace that. Because in the past, you know, it was really hard to, replace them. They were basically not replaceable, and now you can replace them. Saves you probably shipping time because you don't need to ship the whole big box in. But one thing that I was surprised by when I walked up this morning was the control interface looks a little bit different.
It does, it does.
Like if you recall from the 40x40, the old ones, it just had 1 to 40.
Right.
This doesn't.
So,
like, I stand here and, like, I try to route a little bit and, like, figure it out myself. And, like, you click 2 and then you use a clutch and suddenly it jumps from 2 to 20 and to 20. Like, what's going on? Did I break it?
Yeah, so they have this clutched dial on here. So you can only go so far. It's clicking against me because I'm on the first of the inputs. And as I turn it, it can switch between all the other ones. So I don't actually really have to do anything over on the other side. I'm just turning the dial, and like I said, I go back to the start and it won't let me turn any further, which is really nice. You can, as long as you know that's the case, then you can learn that. And on the other side here, like Jonas said a second ago, it's a bit different now. We have the you can configure these yourself, so it's like the source and then the destination and then the source that you choose to send there.
And one really, really cool thing is, let's talk about use cases. Mm-hmm. Like you put this in your rack, you have an ATEM that you go in, you have a multi-view that goes in, you have an encoder, you have some record decks, and now you need to like come up with a plan, like where's the ATEM inputs, like what outputs of the router go into the ATEM. And then if you're panicking and your producer calls for you to change that camera to that input, what do you do now? Do you open up your Excel spreadsheet
Probably
where you
first.
like panic? And well, Blackmagic thought of that. So what's really cool is these 10 buttons up here, they can be 2 things. They can either be a tag or like a macro. A macro is like a salvo that you might know from other manufacturers, and a salvo is basically you can have a subset of inputs that be routed to a specific output. So like you can say if you click the button, it loads all the inputs to the right outputs for the evening show. If I click it again, it loads the right thing for the morning show.
Right.
Doesn't have to be the full 40 or 80 in and output mappings. It can be a subset of that, which is really great. Yeah. So like you could have 2 buttons that switches over the feed to your encoder from the main program to the secondary backup. But what's also really cool is you can have these tags. So what we see is we have monitor, DAC, edit, ATEM. So if you say, I want to route something to the ATEM input 1, is you click in, then you would click ATEM, and then you can click any input. And in the software control, just by using the name, you specify where that should go. So if you say ATEM 1, it would go to ATEM 1. That allows you to, like, in a panic, be able to just use the tags and route it really fast.
Exactly.
What I was really confused by is how do you type in anything that's larger than 10?
Yeah.
You can just type it in. You just type 1, 2, it goes to 12.
Oh yeah, so
it's like a keypad.
A keypad sitting
and
right
that's where I was confused earlier, because like I kept pressing like in, 2, and then if you turn it, it goes to 2, 21. The reason behind it is 2 is also a tag. So it starts with the 2 and shows you everything that starts with that. So now you can do that, but now I can just press 23 take. Now it's 23. And like, I was so blown away this morning. Because like, this is really new.
It is.
They didn't release this IBC.
No,
but
it's been there
somehow
for a
we all
while.
missed it.
Yeah.
Because like, I was talking to you and you're like, oh yeah, they did something. But it's really cool because now you can say, hey, I need to route something to my multi-view 5. I need to route the ATEM 1 output to multi-view 5.
Yeah.
It's really great. I've been really blown away by that.
I know a lot of people will be happy to see this big 80 by 80, right? So the previous ones earlier in the year were refreshed, the 10, the 20, and the 40. And I know a lot of people in my community, 40 is a lot of inputs and outputs, right? But you always want 41 or more. So
Until
it's really
you
good
have
to see
20 sources,
Exactly.
and then you need to route them into the ATEM.
Patch
So
them
now
through,
your
yeah.
20 outputs are gone, and then maybe you would also want some return views, a couple of hyperdecks, and now you suddenly run out of routes. And then your life just starts to become, do I need to route that multi-video hub to route it there and then there, which is way less fun than just having a big router.
Ready to play
Hey,
with.
Phil Tim,
Great.
I'm
It's good to see.
going to do
And,
a guy here. Is there anyone that we can drill questions there? Because there are a lot of very good questions, and it'll be great to have someone in Blackmagic we can tell them, and we can start.
I'll pull my phone out and we'll see if
just
we
have
have a couple of
this
questions.
released the new iPhone app. There are some questions about that. It'll be great to have some answers directly from Blackmagic. What do you think, Guy? Anything else you want to see from the Blackmagic people?
Yeah, I was just looking at the pricing of these, and I've always heard, and Alex says it a lot, where it's like always buy the next one up. And so, if you wanted 20 by 20 at $2,395 US, maybe you go to the 40 by 40, and now look at that price jump though from the 40 by 40, you jump all the way up to $9,995. I mean, it's amazing that it's out there, because I remember they had the old one that was even larger, I believe. And so to see this come back, with 12G now, because the old one was 3G and repairable, is pretty amazing. So I'm excited to see this product in person. That's so cool that these guys are there getting to play with it, punch the buttons, and learn things like how to jump from 22 and get it over there fast. Hopefully they're able to find somebody over there at the Blackmagic booth, because I know at the Cinegear that they had a little bit of a issue with letting Blackmagic staff jump on, but if you're able to grab somebody, John,
we would love to
awesome.
grab somebody, but we they're milling around and busy. We will do our best to grab somebody if we can to answer some questions. But as you can imagine here on this Saturday afternoon, people are just asking many questions to Blackmagic. We'll do our best, absolutely. But I can talk about the Blackmagic camera app a little bit. Super interesting to see that released from them the other day. I actually downloaded it right after the press event, the live event that they had. And then I've had my wife here with me at the show shooting some videos for my YouTube channel, and we just decided, you know what, let's just try this app. So it's been super clean, super nice. We learned some settings along the way, obviously, as you do whenever you download a new app, but it's been fun to use, actually.
But have you worked with the Blackmagic Cinema line cameras before?
Yes, I've used them, so it felt very familiar already to just jump in there. It's a small thing, but the fonts are the same, but a lot of the menus are as intuitive as they are on the other one. So it feels like a nice little companion to put beside that. And then we shot a lot of stuff around the show floor here, and quickly, I didn't use the camera to their upload to the cloud thing, just because it didn't make any sense for my edit workflow.
You didn't have anyone who could edit it
I
anyway.
was the editor.
You were the editor.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point in waiting for it to upload and then download.
They didn't invent time travel just yet.
Not yet, but we're working on it, I'm sure. But it worked really well. I was super happy how reliable it was. No issues. I definitely took a risk. I was worried when I got back to the edit that the footage, anything could have happened to it, but it looked great. I was really happy with it. Definitely.
How hard was it to offload it from your device?
Well, since I have an iPhone and a Mac, I could just airdrop it from the app itself straight to the Mac. It took a bit of time because it was 4K footage that I shot, but other than just waiting for drinking a coffee while it offloaded through airdrop, it was fast and easy.
Yeah, and we are actually joined by the other field team.
Yeah, they're kind of lingering in the background here. It's nice to see them.
We have a lot more cameras filming around us right now. I don't know if the field team 2 wants to join us in front of the camera.
I would love to have them here.
And we're going to also wave into that camera.
Yeah,
guys,
exactly. We're having some fun.
Have you played with the Micro Studio Camera 4K? And is there it around so we can see it?
Yes.
Do we want to walk there? And
because we can walk over there and I can talk about it, and then if there's one free,
over there
I
and
can,
you can show us
take a look at it.
Just a demo?
Yeah. So I shot a video this week with it. First thing I went to see whenever I got to the booth here, and it looked really nice. It's a Micro Studio 4K G2. I mean, it looks like it's a bit occupied right now, but the idea being that it's in the same form factor as the previous version, so you got the same shell, a couple of differences, though. They've dropped the breakout cable
Yes.
for power, which I really like.
I love it so much.
Yeah. So it has power
Always
power
was a little
connector
weird.
right on the device, which for me, I love that, instead of dangling out all these extra cables. SDI in and out, which is the little lockable connectors rather than the DIN
That's the
ones
one
before.
that you normally would find, like I mentioned, on the larger routers.
Exactly.
So they did bring it in, but for the small camera, it makes it. And they
that's
still
okay.
have an HDMI out.
Which is really nice. So you can, obviously it doesn't have a screen on it, so you can still see what you're doing through the HDMI output, right?
Yeah, and like that's how we do it today, which with the BGH1, which is the Panasonic box camera, which is really nice.
Let's go over here to the camera if we can. Oh, I can see everyone moving away slowly. We're sandwiching ourselves in here. Yes. So here it is. The Micro Studio 4K G2 looks lovely.
We made
the
it.
Device. Yeah, we pushed our way and we made it. Like we said, it has USB-C now as well, so you can record locking USB-C, but you can record to a card like an SSD attached to that, which is. It has a record button on the side here. Full-size HDMI, lockable power, like Jonas mentioned a second ago. And if I just slowly swing it around the other side, we have those little lockable SDI cables. They did mention in the live video about it that people didn't love that you could pop out the previous version of the SDI.
Yeah.
So now they have these little miniature lockable ones. And it also has the ability to send back tally information in camera control, as you expect from Blackmagic cameras. That's why they have the SDI input here on this one. And it's connected up right here on the demo to an ATEM SDI Extreme Pro ISO. So if we cut around, you can see the preview programs here.
That's actually what we're seeing right now. It's a little one that is on the set. So
Exactly.
They spread those all across
That's what I was
the set.
thinking. It's strange to have it on this this little head here. Like, I can't imagine you doing this. Of course you could. It has the focus and zoom demands connected up, so you could do it like that if you wanted. But I'd expect that you'd actually hang this up in the ceiling, which they do have. I'm sure you can't see that on the camera. Makes a lot more sense to have it up there, and then you can have full control over
Or
it from
put
the
it in a teleprompter.
Or put it in a teleprompter.
And talking about control, one of the things I know we both were pretty excited is they also announced there's going to be a REST API to the camera.
Really nice, yeah.
So as a developer, that's one of those things. I already saw a couple questions asking about the Blackmagic SDK, which we might get to. But the good news is we have a REST-based API for this one. I actually looked at the spec already a little bit, and it's really cool. Like, they even included a really similar API to the one that REST API that's now in the hyperdecks for playing back the files from your drive. I'm like,
cool.
that is so cool.
Interesting.
That is really interesting and cool. It is
What else,
MFT.
Jonas? MFT mount, yeah, so if you've already got these cameras, the previous generations, you'll be much happier with this box, but you don't have to change all those lenses. What else?
It's unbelievable small.
It's
like, unbelievably small.
Small,
When I walked
exactly,
up, I was
yeah.
like that's barely a camera.
I don't think that the head does it justice how small it is, because it looks like there's a lot happening here, right? But, this is it, and then the rest is just added on there for extra button pressing.
Okay, the servo isn't working.
No, it's this one.
Right there.
There we go. So
There we
you can take full control of it with the Blackmagic zoom demand,
And that's
focus
like
demand,
the thing
right?
where like the whole Blackmagic ecosystem comes in. Like, everything works. Like, the zoom works, the focus, the controls just work, and that's like, it's really nice.
Exactly.
Want to look at the really small, from this really small camera to the small 1ME panels?
Let's take a little dander over to the 1ME panels and see what's new over there. It's a very sweet little panel, I think. It looks really
so
nice,
cute.
right?
Yeah.
I feel like I left all my stuff lying around the booth here, so I'm going to pick up my backpack along the way, just in case someone thinks it's theirs and they take it with them. But yeah, it's a huge booth, as I know Richard mentioned earlier, and last year there was a huge booth here, and they've taken up all the same space again. Not taken up, but taking full advantage of all that space again to get all this new tech involved here. And as you can see here, this is one of the most popular little areas on the booth right now, which is the new
Maybe, Ronnie, you
panel.
can,
Simon,
you can get a couple shots of it, and we'll just continue to talk over it.
Exactly. So the panel itself is a 1ME 20 button. It's called the 1ME Advanced Panel 20, and they have a 30 version as well. They previously had a 30 version, but it was a 2ME version, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But now they have this sort of much smaller very compact. If you don't have a huge deep desk, then it makes a lot more sense to have something of this size to sit just on, maybe even like those little tiny van OB trucks that people make. You couldn't really stack a full 2ME in there, I don't think.
And one of the things we were talking about in the Discord is like, yes, you can't do 4MEs, but it's still useful with a 4ME switcher, because you could get 4. You could say, hey, we produce 4 different versions of that show with it.
So you have full control over the huge switchers or the small switchers. In fact, here in the booth today, they're showing it attached to the 1ME Constellation HD, but that's, it makes sense for that size of switcher. But certainly with all 4 ME controls over on the right-hand side, it's really nice to see. They have the 2 panels as well now, so you could, change settings on 2 different screens. Before some of the models only had the one screen and buttons.
I do really like that they have both screens, and I think it's a really great console to get started and maybe do a little satellite show, manage your 1ME.
Full access to all those inputs on the 20 buttons. It makes a lot of sense. I think the 1ME version, the 10 button I have used in the past before in lots of shows, that fits nicely in small setups. I think it's really nice.
Yeah.
But just to expand that out a bit, go beyond those initial inputs, 10 inputs. It really helps. You don't have to press the shift button quite so much, is what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
It looks great. I was playing with it yesterday.
I have to say, we'll probably get kicked out soon because we are really close to the show. I think we're still trying to figure out if we can answer a couple of your questions. Anything else we want to look at?
Yeah, let's see what else we wanted to talk a little bit about
and
SRT
the new Pocket
on the
6K.
Web Presenter.
Let's talk about SRT on the Web Presenter.
Ooh,
and
SRT
Guy
on the Web
wants to
Presenter
see
would be
the
awesome.
new
Would
Pocket
love to see the
6K
L
with L mount.
Yeah, what glass are they using? Because I was a big fan of the S1H and had adapted some Fujinon lenses over, so I'd love to see what they're showing off.
Let's try to find one.
It's like
if
huge.
we can find you one,
awesome,
Guy, we
you
will
just
absolutely.
turn
But
to
like
one
I said,
side,
it's a big place here.
a different station, and the other side has
Black
taller
likes to make a
they really they flex a lot in this in this conferences. In Vegas, they were like, you got into the expo and it was like huge, the Blackmagic part, but they can't find it. I think it's a hard. We gave them a hard task. Oh, I think they got it. No, we're still roaming around.
We have someone who could answer questions. That would be great.
We're still milling around here, just trying to find the camera. It seems like I said, there's so much stuff to see.
Where to look to, because okay, I want to see the new software. Oh no, I want to see like the consoles. Or it's great. I like this tour of the.
So, are you still there? Yeah, cool. So we couldn't quite find that camera for you, unfortunately, but we will just talk about SRT a little bit because we have the Web Presenter up here. So previously RTMP in the Web Presenter, but they have added the SRT support, right?
Well, not only SRT. It's not only SRT. The 4K now also does support H.265, which is really great because now you can use H.265 to stream to YouTube if you're part of the beta program with SRT.
And interestingly, then the streaming bridge on the other side of Blackmagic's setup, now it also has SRT added to it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm really looking forward in that combination is one of the things where we have seen the streaming bridge to struggle a little bit is when we are trying to cross countries and have a long transmission. That's where RTMP struggled a little bit, and where SRT is just a pretty big improvement. I'm just glad to finally see that also used.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we like you said, we tried to live stream once all the way across from Sweden to from Australia into Sweden using the streaming bridges and stuff. So it'll be we might try and do the test again to see if it works now with SRT.
We definitely should, because I think it's not even the fault of the product, right? It's it's literally just physics.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Exactly.
And SRT is built for it. But I have heard Field Team 2 was able to get someone. So
over them?
Yeah, over to you, Field Team 2.
Yeah, there we are, just in front of the other team, and we got Darren from Blackmagic here. Thank you very much for answering our questions. So, Rich, take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Darren. We have sent a couple of questions back just to let you know, just simply because there's not necessarily an answer for it just yet. So we're going to focus on a couple of these ones. So from Bill Mew in Tunbridge Wells in the UK, some may miss massive move by Blackmagic to add SRT to the streaming bridge, but will SRT also come to the ATEM Television Studio HD 8 ISO?
So right now our focus is around SRT on the Web Presenter HD and the Web Presenter 4K devices. The idea behind adding SRT is it's going to be much more efficient as a streaming protocol. It's more secure, it's more reliable, and it allows us to work in a more efficient way. So right now the focus is on Web Presenter HD 4K and the ability to receive that stream also from the ATEM streaming bridges, and then we'll look at how that can develop further in the future as well.
That's brilliant. So next kind of question here from Mark Slater in Florida, USA. Oh, there we go. The ATEM remote control protocol, is it not published? If they're not going to provide a broader language support, how about providing a protocol verification tool?
Yeah, so it is a protocol that we don't publish openly. We do have the SDK for the ATEM switches. So the same as we do with a lot of our Blackmagic product families now is we have an SDK and we allow customers to work and adapt that SDK and formulate their own software and hardware platforms for that. So we take that so far and we give quite a lot of creative freedom to our customers, and we hope that we can do a lot with it.
Yeah, we know quite a lot of people in our community who've been using the SDK to do a lot of fantastic things.
Yeah, there's some great products and great software applications out there utilising the SDK, which we love seeing people do that.
That's brilliant. Okay, moving on here to Roscoe Jones from Madison, Indiana. When repairing a connection, will the hub still operate with one board missing? I believe we're not too sure about this one just yet.
Yeah, it's TBC at the moment. Obviously, the product is brand new, only announced a couple of days ago now. We certainly alluded in our video to the fact that it is going to be a repairable product, and that individual connections or individual boards or banks of ports could be repaired. The exact details on that are TBC at the moment, so bear with us. We'll release further information around that as soon as we can.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. I think that's it for the questions we've got on my iPad. There's a fair chance that my iPad is no longer connected to the internet, so apologies if we're not going to get to your question right now. Thank you so much, Darren, for taking us on a whim and a smile. So thank you so much for jumping in. Into the pit, as Alex has sometimes referred to our questions from our audience.
Indeed.
So, thank you so much. I think that is the end of our coverage, actually. So, Darren, I don't know if you want to be in this shot, but you're more than welcome to stay here.
Step away if you want. You can carry on.
I don't mind.
It's all right.
That is the end of our coverage today for Officers. Guy and Javier, how was that for you? Any kind of further things at Blackmagic you wanted to see? We didn't get to listen in to John and Jonas as they were doing their tour because we were busy begging a Blackmagic rep to come on air.
Indeed.
So is there anything else that you want to see here before we kind of wrap it up?
Not that I wanted to see, but I just really wanted to say it feels like I'm there. I mean, I'm watching these cameras roam around, and it just feels like being there. I'm not putting the miles on my sneakers and getting the sore feet and paying for the $15 hot dogs, but I thank you guys for doing that work for me, and you guys are probably going to be sore from doing such a good job cruising around. I know Jonas and John look like they were really putting in the workout, so it feels I'm not getting the sense, and I'm not getting I'm getting the visuals and the sounds, but I'm not getting the sense. So it's like being there, though. It's amazing. I can't wait for spatial glasses in AR where we'll be able to really see everything all around, where what's behind us, what's above us, and then coupled with HDR and being able to hear surround sound. So the future is amazing, and thank you guys for putting on such a good show.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't need to pay for the $15 hot dogs, but at least...
It's worth saying that IBC is treated, because we're press credentialed, so we're very lucky they've treated us very, very well. So thank you so much to IBC for taking good care of us. The little packed lunches.
Yeah, right. Little lunch bags. That was really great.
It was gorgeous, even with a little icon on it to tell you what was inside it, veg, chicken or fish.
But
it was gorgeous.
Still, the feet are sore, I guess, and I think we should thank our two camera operators, Simon and Ronnie.
Simon and Ronnie, do you want to look at each other on the camera? Because Ronnie, you got to show Simon's rig.
Yeah.
Just if you want to give a wee pan, because this is what Simon's been carrying around today, which is fantastic. The Easy Rig, which we actually didn't get to today, but we did feature on After Hours yesterday.
Yeah.
The absolute fantastic Easy Rig setup that he's been using. And Simon, do you want to pan to show what Ronnie's doing? Because everyone always loves the setup. So I'm sure there'll be a kind of a little kind of IBC breakdown at some time in our future.
Indeed.
So yes, thank you so much. I've got to thank the whole team here, Stefan, Lucas, Ronnie, Simon, Jonas and John, who are over there. Do you want to come over here, Jonas and John? No, they just want to stand over there. They're chilling now. You don't have to say
Jonas
anything. You
is
just
ready
come
to
over and
go
stand
to
in the shot.
get his ice beer, or what was his, like, he wanted to get the ice beer. I said now he's gonna get it.
We have nothing to say, apparently.
You're done. You gave us a
well.
great tour.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Javier. Thank you so much, Guy.
And also, we really want to thank Show for giving us microphones so you could actually hear us all across the show floor. It was great. Thank you to all the vendors who also were kindly enough letting us take over the booths like we just did here. Everybody's packing down around us as we're trying to close out our show, and I think you have a couple more thanks to give.
Yeah. What's really weird is that my fullback is also playing back your audio at a delay, so it's kind of weird, but it's so much fun. Thank you so much to the full team. There'll be a full list of thank yous just in the credits. Ronnie, I don't even know which camera I'm looking at anymore, so thank you so much to everyone. Massive job to the whole crew here. Massive job to the field team. Massive job to the crew online. All the best, and thank you. All right.